is not very old. It's 15 years younger than I am. It was a bad experiment. It's been weaponized to do the worst thing.
Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-949-1441. That's 800-949-1441. 800-949-1441.
Brendan, what's in your freezer right now?
Honestly, steaks from Snake River Farms, always. It's become the beef we reach for. On weeknights, the weekend, doesn't matter. It's insanely good.
Same. Snake River Farms has been doing this for over 5 decades. And unlike others, they oversee the entire process from ranch to table. That's how they get perfection at every step. This is exactly why Snake River Farms is the only one I trust.
SnakeRiverFarms.com. Use code GOLF10 and give it a try.
If you own a business, you've heard it all. From fast funding to easy approvals, everyone says the same thing. BlendSeek is different. We show you what you actually qualify for. BlendSeek's AI-enabled platform matches you with funding options with no guesswork. Up to $5 million in as fast as 24 hours. If you've been in business over a year, doing at least $50,000 per month, apply for free with zero out-of-pocket costs and access to over 100 lenders. Start ready, stay ready. LendSeek.com. LendSeek.com.
Your medication for enlarged prostate is working. That's what you tell yourself. You're up 3 times a night instead of 5. The urgency is manageable. The stream's not great, but it's fine. That's the problem. Fine. Enlarged prostate, or BPH, doesn't pause because the medication takes the edge off. The prostate keeps growing. The bladder keeps working harder. And over time, those changes can be harder to reverse. The surgery? Not for you, right? Aquablation is not the surgery you're picturing. It's the only ultrasound-guided, robotic-assisted therapy for enlarged prostate. Don't wait until things become unbearable. Find an Aquablation urologist near you. Visit Aquablation.com. Aquablation.com. That's Aquablation.com. Visit Aquablation.com. All surgical treatments carry risks, and results may vary. Side effects may include, but are not limited to, urinary symptoms, mild pain, infection, or less frequently, urethral or rectal injury, or ejaculatory dysfunction. Aquablation therapy may not be right for everyone. Talk to your urologist to learn more.
All right, phone lines 1-695-839-572-874. So let's cut through all this Dr. Fauci stuff with somebody who I think is probably the apex, the A-lister, the guy that everybody wants to talk to. Dr. Robert Redfield, former CDC director, now senior visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. How you doing, sir?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Just on the surface, we've seen Fauci's diary, and I'm not a scientist, you are, but it seemed like almost immediately of the wet market versus the lab leak. It seemed like everybody knew it wasn't something born of a wet market, that it was engineered in a lab, and whatever way it got out, it got out. Why did people cling in the media, and the media cling to this idea that it couldn't possibly have been something nefarious, like they were designing a bioweapon, or they were doing gain of function, or they were doing something that maybe they shouldn't have been doing since Obama banned it in the United States, and they kept clinging to this kind of silly notion that it had something to do with these wet markets in China?
Yeah, a couple things. First, I always said, even back then in January 2020, I said the wet market, I used the term, was a roost to turn the attention away from the laboratory. A couple of reasons that I think the media got sucked into it. First, if you look at SARS and if you look at MERS, which were the previous two coronavirus infections in man that we had in 2002, 2003 for SARS, 2012, 2013 for MERS, both of those came from a bat into an intermediate host, civet cat for SARS, camel for MERS, and then into man, and never really went very effectively man to man. So for both of those illnesses, we've still had less than 10,000 cases in the world many years later. So there was precedent for them to believe that this is how coronavirus is operated. And I think the community, the scientific community, exploited that by calling this SARS-2. This was not really SARS-2. This was a new coronavirus that was not like SARS and it was not like MERS. The second reason was I do think the scientific community, led by the leadership of NIH, both Collins and Fauci, and the head of the Wellcome Foundation, Jeremy Farrar, made a very aggressive, active, intentional decision to distract the public from the laboratory. Because as I said back then, although it was criticized as conspiracy, I said that this was an epidemic created by science, not by nature. And the scientific community did not want the public to believe that this epidemic was actually a consequence of science, because they felt that could threaten science. And so they went through a very aggressive and I think intentional decision to misdirect. I always knew they were too smart, because I know the scientists, they were too smart to actually believe it. But that's what they did. And I think they argued because they were protecting science. You heard Fauci say, if you disagree with me, you disagree with science, I am science. Well,
isn't that a little
the
crazy?
reality is, yeah, just a little over the top. And the reality is that this was an epidemic that was caused by gain-of-function research done by scientists, funded by the United States, largely, to be conducted in Chinese laboratories and led to one of the greatest pandemics that we've had, at least in over 100 years.
Isn't rigorous debate one of the tenets of real science? Not that rigorous debate. Now, they said we didn't have time for this, but there's always time for it, right?
Yeah.
We were told that things like ivermectin were, and what was the other one? Which is the
hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, hydroxychloroquine, which is prescribed routinely in countries that have problems with malaria. We were told that this stuff is all quackery, and yet we know that hydroxychloroquine is globally produced cheaply for the purpose of fighting malaria, but the media fed into, well, somebody drank fish tank cleaner. Well, nobody told you to consume fish tank cleaner, but the media had people completely panicked that if they didn't go out and get this vaccine in 18 different boosters, they were going to die. But Fauci knew, according to his diet, he even was concerned that if its effectiveness was published, then people might reject the mandates. That's not science. That's propaganda.
So I talked to both him and Collins back in January 2020, and I asked for one thing. I said we need to have an open and aggressive, transparent debate between the two leading hypotheses, lab origin and their spillover from nature. And unbeknownst to me at the time, him and Jeremy Farrar collected a group of scientists that had a phone call on February 1st, which I was not included in, which I think was very incorrect, because they knew I had a strong view of one of the hypotheses, that is, it came from the lab. I had expressed it, obviously, to the president and to the White House task force, and Tony had basically ascertained very aggressively that this came from nature, period. And then they, in truth, and I'm going to use the word because it's true, and the paper should be retracted, they manufactured that paper called Proximal Origin, which was then cited to all the media as basically proof that the scientific community has concluded this came from nature. And it was, I argued then, and I said publicly, that the approach was, as you pointed out, antithetical to science. Because what science does is it has rigorous debate. I always tell people, as a scientist, I'm enormously appreciative when somebody proves me wrong, because they taught me something as a scientist. If you prove me right, you didn't really teach me anything. Science is a self-purifying discipline that we basically have hypotheses based on data, and then we can have conclusions, and then new data comes and alters the conclusions towards what we eventually try to move towards a scientific truth. So this was intentional. It's a very sad thing. I've tried to tell Fauci and others, that in their goal to protect science, what they really did is harm it. They harmed it in a very serious way, because now you don't trust these scientists anymore.
I was just you kind of led to that. I was going to say, was there anything the public was not privy to, debates you may have had with Fauci, or anybody saying, I got to go tell the president that Fauci's kind of misleading him? Was there anything that we did not see that maybe you saw or were a part of this kind of debate that you're talking about? Was there somebody in the room saying, Fauci, I don't think you're right here?
Yeah, not at the level that should have happened among scientists. There was a debate, obviously, between Tony and me and the White House task force and the presence of the president and vice president, that we expressed our different points of view. All right, that I felt, and I gave the evidence for why I felt pretty confident that it came from the laboratory. Not the least of which is in 2014, the head of that laboratory in the Wuhan laboratory published a paper that was published in Source. You could find it if you just go online. It took a moment. And showed that she finally learned how to get a coronavirus to bind to a humanized mice tissue. In other words, she allowed it to finally go through a human receptor. In other words, she finally learned how to teach this virus to infect humans. And that was published in 2014. So this was no top secret. This was in the public domain. And that paper thanked NIAID, Tony's Institute, for funding the research to actually accomplish that.
I know that, though. I know you're at the Heritage Foundation, which is a stalwart, bedrock conservative organization. But maybe talking about the constitutional aspect of some of the things that might not be in your lane. It fascinates me how we went right to this heavy-handed authoritarian lockdown, where we were told that we didn't have time to argue about civil rights, debate the First Amendment and these things, and then that immediately got lifted when George Floyd died. And I'm not a scientist, but I'm pretty sure viruses don't make political determinations before they spread. So we were told that protests to open the economies of, let's say, Michigan and California, you had protests in Lansing and in Sacramento. They said, no, those are super spreaders. You can't go to church. You can't have Thanksgiving. You're going to kill grandma. But then they said, well, gathering in the streets to protest the death of George Floyd was a civil rights issue. Well, how are the other ones not? Did the virus make an agreement not to spread amongst people attending vigils versus church protests and Thanksgiving?
Yeah, there's no doubt about one of the big sadnesses of the whole situation around COVID was an enormous government overreach. And it was driven by, in my view, individuals that believe you don't know how to decide what's right for you. Okay? I have to decide for you because you don't have the ability to make that decision. And so there was such government overreach. These vaccines should have never been mandated because we knew the science, and I argued this as aggressively as I could. Remember, the vaccine got approved December 10th, and I was out of office January 20th, so I didn't get the influence in the policy and how they were implemented. Fauci and Biden kind of did that, and they had a point of view that everyone had to get vaccinated. My point of view was we vaccinate the vulnerable, those people over the age of 65 that were at increased risk for death. Because we knew a couple things when the vaccine got approved. The first thing we knew, it didn't prevent infection, and it didn't prevent transmission. So when Biden said, and Fauci said, vaccinate your grandchildren so they don't infect grandma, that was not a true statement because there was no impact of being vaccinated on transmission. The only impact we saw, and the reason Pfizer and Moderna did get approved, and I think it was good that they got, conditionally approved, but for the vulnerable, those over 65, 75, 85, 95, because we did see that vaccine prevented deaths, right? Didn't prevent infection. Probably was a misnomer to really call it a vaccine because it didn't prevent infection. The American public, assumed it prevented infection. Fauci and them used it as a policy as if it was preventing infection. if you got vaccinated, you could do all these things, and if you didn't get vaccinated, you couldn't do all these things. No, the only thing the vaccine did was prevent death. We should have never vaccinated the military, never vaccinated children, never vaccinated young adults under the age of 50. And this was all pushed because there was a bias that they had, non-scientific bias, that if we could get initially 35% of the American public vaccinated, the pandemic would stop. Okay? Then Fauci said 50% the pandemic would stop. And then he said 70%. And a reporter like you, very astute, said to him, Dr. Fauci, recently you said 50%, now you're saying 70%. Can you tell us what new data you have that made you change your opinion from 50 to 70? And Fauci, as a matter of public record, because he's reported, said, well, there is no new data. But when I told you 50%, I just didn't think you were ready to hear 70%. In other words, they would say things to get you to make the decision that they made for you. And this was wrong. I mean, this is, the biggest concern I have in the Fauci hearing we just had, and the fifth, and taking the fifth and all that, what's happened is they destroyed public trust in the public health officials and in public health policies. And if you don't have public trust, you can't have effective public health policy. I just published a new book in November called Redfield's Warning. I encourage your listeners to read it. It's I think, a really good book that goes through how a lot of these policy decisions were made, both in the HIV and in COVID. But more importantly, it gets people prepared for the next pandemic, which I call the Great Pandemic.
All right.
It's going to be a bird flu pandemic.
I'm going to run out of time in about 40 seconds. I know what everybody listening thinking is right now. They want to know, what do you think should happen to Fauci? So what do you think should happen going forward? I know there's a contempt vote tomorrow, but what do you think should happen?
I think I'm disappointed. I wish Tony had apologized to Rand Paul for his behavior, and I wish he had just told the truth and admitted the things, the decisions that he made that were incorrect, and deal with the controversy between his diary and what he said to the public, and just say he made mistakes and explain to the American people why he did it. Unfortunately, he didn't do that. As a consequence, we lost a lot more public trust. I say put another nail in the coffin of public trust. I think the only way to do it, I was on with Alan Dershowitz the other day, and Dershowitz made the point, the only way we're going to get Fauci to tell the truth is if Congress gives him immunity. And in my view, if anything we can do to start rebuilding public trust and public health is worth it. So, I'm not a legal expert, but it sounds like that Fauci's very...
I'm at time, sir. That's my time of the hour. Got no choice. Sirius XM Patriot.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value for your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at abacuspays.com.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I spent years living in fear of calcium oxalate crystal stones, always afraid of when the next one would hit. Now, I just take Kidney Cop.
Battling calcium oxalate stones, it's time to try Kidney Cop, a doctor-recommended kidney supplement that has been shown in laboratory tests to reduce the growth rate of calcium oxalate crystals by 99%. Get Kidney Cop today at Amazon.com, Walmart.com, or KidneyCop.com.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-656-4455. 800-656-4455. Again, that's 800-656-4455.
Never get old. Celebrating America 250. Sirius XM Patriot 125.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm John Scott. A Senate election the nation was watching, the Associated Press calling the primary race in Michigan for Abdul El-Sayed.
He beats her by 1 point. Abdul El-Sayed getting 48.5% of the vote in Michigan. Sitting Congresswoman Haley Stevens getting 47.5%. Mallory McMorrow, who dropped out of the race recently but whose name was still on the ballot, taking 4% of the vote.
That's correspondent Laura Winters. President Trump says Iran knows that he's serious about the Iranians come to the peace table or else.
They saw it happening. They saw all the goods being loaded. They saw everything. They knew exactly what was happening. And I think it'd be very smart to make a deal. We'll see what happens.
The president, speaking to reporters Tuesday night, a draft that reportedly has been agreed to by Iranian and Omani negotiators awaits final approval from Iran's supreme leader. The potential deal could serve as a temporary solution to the U.S.-Iranian dispute over shipping through the waterway. It's tied the agreement reached between the U.S. and Iran back in June that aimed to end the fighting and reopen the strait, which ultimately collapsed. Federal officials reporting major progress toward government fraud.
Vice President J.D. Vance is detailing the work of the task force to eliminate fraud.
We've been able to stop $56 billion in fraudulent payments that would have otherwise gone to fraudsters rather than to people who need them. And in the process, we've saved, obviously, the American people a lot of money.
The White House says the crackdown is part of a larger effort to restore accountability and cut waste across federal programs. Willie Nelson, the White House.
And stocks are wavering in early afternoon trading on Wall Street. The Dow is currently down or ahead 456 points, but the NASDAQ dropping 86. More of these stories from townhall.com.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them, personal or business. This is the fresh new break you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-499-5331. 800-499-5331. 800-499-5331.
Communist China is further tightening its vice grip on Tibet.
Beijing has enacted a so-called ethnic unity law that mandates Mandarin as the primary language for schools and government in the autonomous region. Critics argue the law forces assimilation and erodes the rights of Tibetans and other minorities. China contends the policies improve educational opportunities and ensure equal access for ethnic minorities. In Tibet, reminders of Chinese control are everywhere, from billboards to flags. Rich Thomason reporting.
London police say a woman has been arrested after 4 people were stabbed in Covent Garden. Busy central area, popular with visitors. The Metropolitan Police say the 47-year-old woman was arrested on suspicion of possession of an offensive weapon and assault. Those that were injured have been taken to a major trauma center. News at townhall.com.
Fusion of rational thought and political analysis. This is what your brain has been waiting for. News, politics, and issues. Enhanced. You have just joined the Will Count Majority.
Your generation of great talk radio, the founder of the new school. That's me, Andrew Wilkhouse, Sirius XM Patriot. Phone lines, as always, Y2695 Patriot 957-2874. The email, spell the name right, WILKW at localmajority.com. Individual Patriot first, Conservative second, Republican third. And working every single day to make this the most popular program offered by Sirius XM Radio, because it's based on one thing and one thing only. And that is rational thought. So welcome to the Locale Majority. I'm Andrew Locale. So we now have a third attempt, could be more, on the life of President Trump, a man who was at the Trump golf course, right? Well, loaded for bears, they would say. And it seems like the media is just taking a pass on this again. They have no report on it, of course, but you know, they're not offended at the idea that people want to kill the president of the United States. You know, it's funny with El Said winning, and what's this other guy, Donovan something or other, another Democratic socialist who beat Trey Tandiar, who can't speak English. I was watching during the top of the hour old videos of Milton Friedman promoting his book Free to Choose on the Phil Donahue show. And sometimes I have to take into perspective, like, I'm going to be 54 next week. Mike is about 10, 11 years younger than me. And I think Bill is about 18 years younger than me. And there are some things that I think universally everybody knows. And that definitely speaks to being Gen X. Right? Like, if you said in a room full of people my age, if he gets up, we'll all get up, it'll be anarchy. Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe? I want to be an airborne ranger. I want to live a life of danger. What am I quoting? What am I quoting? If you're my age, you know exactly what I'm quoting. You're quoting the right. But when you're Gen X, you think everybody's seen The Breakfast Club. Right? You think everybody's seen 16 Candles. You think everybody's seen Pretty in Pink. You think everybody's seen Risky Business. You think everybody's seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Right? You think everybody's seen that. Because those movies, especially the John Hughes movies, lived well beyond their years. Right? Were staples of teenage viewing long after the 80s, right? Into the 90s, I would say even into the early 2000s. But the early 2000s, 2001 was 25 years ago. I sometimes take that for granted. And I have to say to myself, when I played that Ronald Reagan clip in the last hour, I feel like everybody's heard that. And if they have, they're going to go, wow, man. It's the same thing. There was a very famous interview in 1979 between Phil Donahue and, like, again, who? Right? Who? Trash TV, as we came to know it, started with Phil Donahue. But ask somebody under 40 about Sally Jesse or Geraldo or, what's her name? Was it Jones? Not Jenny Jones. What was the one where the gay guy shot his neighbor? Remember they had like the coming out and the guy. No, not Sally Jesse Raphael. There was another one. No, not Donahue. Not Maury. You are not the father. Woo! Right? Not Jerry Springer. Who was the... No, not Sally Jesse Raphael. There was a skinny blonde. Then there was Ricky Lake. I mean, remember all these... This stuff is not... Nobody under 40 is into that. They're into Love Island. Right? They're into Love Island. They're all actually... Right. One of Megyn Kelly's people's on the other side. She's into Love Island. Love Island, right? They're all into Love Island now. They're not even into The Real Housewives. They're into Love Island. Jenny Jones, it was Jenny Jones. Okay. So what I'm getting at is that I sometimes find myself forgetting that not everybody knows this stuff. A lot of you do. But the people that need to hear that have never heard it for historical context. Bill, go on do you have Twitter up in your side of the studio? Do you have Twitter up?
Idiot.
Do you have Twitter? Go on my Twitter account. I posted a thing. So back in the 70s, Milton Friedman and Donahue were kind of like Howard Cosell and the YouTube link I posted. Muhammad Ali. Right? It's kind of like Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman. They sort of fed off of one another in multiple interviews. And Friedman was brought onto TV shows where college kids would try to take him down. You know, this what we're going to play for you. As we're talking about the millionaires and the billionaires. And now a trillionaire, we can't have this. Back in the 70s, Milton Friedman appeared on a TV show where a woman stood up with righteous anger and said there are too many millionaires, which is the billionaires talk today, adjusted for inflation. Can you start playing that clip? Over here.
Why is it we United States and we still have so many impoverished people who try to get up and tell? Why is it we have this lack of money where people who can't support themselves decently and get a decent job, where all these big men are up on top making
Can you stop this
money?
rewind? I just got to throw a comment in here. Stop and rewind it. Doesn't it sound like there's what she yesterday? CNN. Night. There's all. Hey, Dan. Started it. So, country. Suppose the investment by people. But let me go to your fundamental question. First place is not for this world. There is no paradise. Of course, we've got a lot of people who are poorly off. But if you look at it over time, if you get a sense of proportion, the well-being of ordinary people has been the main thing that has been improved by economic progress and economic growth and development. And most residual hard cases of poverty today are the result, again, of a failure of government. Why do we have a black teenage unemployment rate in 30 to 40%? Because of two failures of government. One, a failure to provide decent schooling, which is a governmental responsibility. Has been, whether it should be or not, it has been. And second, because of a minimum wage rate, which prevents those kids who haven't had decent schooling
from getting jobs at low pay at which they could earn the skills on the jobs that would enable them to rise to higher pay. If you look at the sources of poverty, you will find that most of them are derived from what I regard as wrong-headed government policies.
How is this any different? That is 1979 right there. How is that any different than what you're hearing today, almost 50 years later? How is it any different? You have a woman who stands up and says, poverty is the result of people hoarding money. There's too many millionaires. Friedman says, what do you think they do with their money? They invest it in the things that create the jobs. We're still having the exact same debate today, right now, in different language. And you know what's really funny? There are 20-year-olds to 30-year-olds that think the DSA is something new. They think it's something brand new. That's why the word progress sounds not just, it's not even self-evident. It always sounds new. When you say progressive, it always sounds like the young, the up and coming, it's the new, it's the never been tried. Even though it's been done 1,000 times over. It's like when somebody writes a song and it gets on the radio. People think a few years older, or maybe as a musician, goes, that's a blues riff. Or that's a standard 1,000 times. But it's new because you've never heard it before. And this one's real. I really an old reference now. But I remember being in rock radio, and there was a band called Jet, and they had a song called "Are You Gonna Be My Girl?" And all it was a repeat of "Lust for Life" by Iggy Pop. But you weren't allowed to say that on the radio. You had to pretend it was new. Bands have been doing this forever. How many Pink Floyd fans are out there? You know the song Money? That riff is directly ripped off of a band called Brownie and Sonny, a blues act from the 50s and the 60s. They had a song called Take Me to the River. It's the exact riff, but you wouldn't know it if you never heard of Brownie and Sonny. But now these people think this is all brand new. It's not. It's not young. It's not hip. Karl Marx, the Communist Manifesto, none of this stuff is new. And yet it's being portrayed as, well, this is the old way. The old way. We have to out with the old, in with the new. It's not out with the old, in with the new. It's out with the old, in with the old. It's out with the old, in with the old. None of this is hip. None of it's exciting. None of it is anything. And you could say, well, you know, the Communist Manifesto was a pamphlet, but it's got nothing on TikTok. It's the same thing. And it's funny. A friend of my former producer used to joke that, can you imagine if someone like Thomas Jefferson had Twitter? He would do it better than you. You know, the people that helped the founding generation, if they had Twitter, they would have done it better than you. Rob Zombie once said, it doesn't matter what you've done. Black Sabbath did it before you, and they did it better than you. Do you have that clip of Ronald Reagan? Can you play that?
It has to do with the fact that in the Soviet Union, if you want to buy an automobile, there is a 10-year wait. And you go through quite a process when you're ready to buy, and then you put up the money in advance. So there was a young fellow there that had finally made it, and he was going through all the bureaus and agencies that he had to go through and signing all the papers, and finally got to that last agency where they put the stamp on it. And the man then that had made the final stamp of the paper, taking the money, said, all right, come back in 10 years and get delivery of your car. And he said, morning or afternoon? The fellow said, well, 10 years from now, what difference does it make? He said, the plumber's coming in the morning.
He's talking about the old Soviet Union and the way the economy was regulated. And all of the things, the steps you had to go through before you were able to do something as simple and something that we take for granted in this country. Whether you like Amazon or not, it's your choice. But literally, the free market system and what's left of the notion of limited government is what makes the United States the envy of the world. But the things that these people are saying, whether it's AOC or Darlisa Chevalier or Claire Valdez or Annalila Mejia or any of them, none of this stuff is new. Okay? None of it is new. It's all the same script. It's just been rehashed. It's just been reconfigured. It's the same damn thing. Every single effing time it's tried. White 695 Patriot 957-2874. We are right. They are wrong. That is the end of the story. The arguments on this radio program cannot, will not, will never be broken. 20 years running. Beat that. Sirius XM Patriot.
When the day throws you punches, hit back with a wall of classic rock. Immerse yourself in 60s cornerstones. Excuse me while I kiss the sky. Open the floodgates for 70s royalty. Feel the rush of 80s anthems. One channel, 3 decades of classic rock. Rock Wall. Year-round in the Sirius XM.
Think about just how hard your liver works every single day to keep you safe from Es and emulsifiers in our food, ethanol and alcohol, BPAs and other toxins in the air and water. Our bodies are under constant assault. Liver is our main line of defense. This time of year, between cookouts, celebrations, our livers are working overtime. That's why I take Active Liver from New Nordic. It contains natural ingredients like globe artichoke extract, milk thistle, and turmeric to help provide the nutritional support my liver needs. I love that it's available as either a tablet or great tasting mango gummies, so it's an easy way to give my body a daily detox. Active Liver is available at CVS, GNC, Meijer, and Wegmans, or search Active Liver by New Nordic on Amazon. Take it from me. Show your liver a little love with Active Liver by New Nordic. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
It used to be that stuffing tissues up your nose was really the only way to stop your messy, frustrating nosebleeds. Nampons are the doctor-recommended better option that over 3 million people have already discovered. So what's a Nampon? Nampons fit inside your nose perfectly, expand for gentle pressure, and even have a clotting agent clinically proven to stop the bleeding fast. And now Nampons are available in Walmart. So ditch the tissue and be prepared for your next nosebleed. Pull into Walmart right now and get Nampons in the first aid aisle.
Golfer Byron Nelson was a total pro who won 11 straight and 18 PGA Tour events in 1945. He may be gone, but his legacy lives on in golf apparel that symbolizes his cool and effortless performance. The Byron Nelson collection features timeless, high-performance apparel made for anyone who loves modern comfort and classic style, from polos to pullovers. Look good, feel good, and maybe even play better with Byron Nelson apparel. You can also order online at ByronNelsonGolf.com and use code Byron for 10% off. Hey, employers, quit being and consider offering an affordable medical plan. The Claim Doc Dual Option Approach. Wouldn't it be nice to offer a major network option for the executives who can afford higher premiums and deductibles while offering a significantly lower cost medical plan for most of your employees? Well, cheer up. Now you can.
Ask your broker about the ClaimDoc dual option approach and stop being a by offering a plan your employees can no longer afford. Visit ClaimDoc.com to learn more.
Hey, it's Andrew Wilkow, host of the Wilkow Majority, right here on Sirius XM Patriot Channel 125. I want you to help me celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Wilkow Majority. We have a lot of funny stories and a lot of great guests that are going to be joining us. And I want to tell you some really cool memories that stand out from my 20 years. I want you to go to SiriusXM.com/Patriot Forum and finish this. I'll never forget the time Andrew ... You might hear yourself on our radio program. We love to discuss cultural issues and current events, but we also like to talk about the importance of the rule of law to our safety. And if you love watching real-life police work unfold as it happens too, Reels Plus is your ride every step of the way. Reels is the exclusive home to America's hit TV series On Patrol Live, streaming live every Friday and Saturday night in real time. More than 50 cameras follow law enforcement agencies across the country, and you're right there for the night's biggest moments as they happen. It's real, unfiltered, impossible to predict. And as a Reels Plus subscriber, you can also unlock thousands of hours of on-demand real-life police shows, true crime, and celebrity documentaries all in one place. Just go to ReelsPlus.com. That's Reels with a Z. REELZ, Reels with a Z, and we have an exclusive coupon code for you. Just type in Wilkow and check it. You'll get a free 1-month trial to see for yourself. That is just $4.99 a month. You can cancel anytime. Once again, that's ReelsPlus.com. Check it out.
Portland or prosperity? You decide. The Wilkow Majority.
Why does it feel like the summer's on decline? I don't know. I'm going into certain stores, and they've got the Halloween stuff out already. Some cases, the Christmas stuff. No. We need to amend the Constitution. There shall be no Halloween or Christmas displays until after Labor Day. Yacht Rock. Since you're playing stuff, is this the 80s or the 70s? I think it's the 70s. One more clip, then I'm going to get the calls. So, we were talking about the late 70s, how the language is all the same, it's brand new. Police.
How can I help you? You can report traffic, road incidents.
One more clip. Milton Friedman versus a college kid who now would probably be pushing 70 himself. So if you're in your 20s 50 years ago, you'd be, in your 70s now, or depending on the things, this might have been 1978, 79, not the early 70s. But here's a quote-unquote young person trying to debate Milton Friedman. Tell me if this person sounds exactly the same as what you're hearing coming out of the mouths of some of these young socialists.
You said that you believe many people in America believe in your definition of freedom from coercion, and I might agree with you, but I also believe that many people in America believe in a different kind of freedom, and that is freedom to well-being, a certain level of standards for housing at a good price, education, etc. The other thing I want to say is that the system has built into it the poor remain poor and the rich remain rich, and that is an externality of the system.
It is not built into the system at all. It has never been true. It's simply a false. If you look at the evidence, there is an enormous amount of mobility from one class to the other. In fact, there used to be a saying, 3 generations from shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves, which reflected exactly the opposite effect. So it simply is not built into the system. On the contrary, there's a great deal of mobility within generations and between generations, and we shouldn't argue on the basis of false factual premises.
That mobility, well, let me continue because I'm not sure it really has an effect on the question. Because it is not immediately easy to become in the wealthy class. There are certain parts of the system which make that
easy. That's
virtually impossible for the real person. Now, I believe that this freedom too represents the belief in equality as opposed to liberty. And I wonder, is it possible to build a system based on this equality, which I believe that many people agree in, and would not be willing to sacrifice to the liberty of freedom from?
Well, I'm not going to be able to give a full answer to your question because you've asked a very, very complex question. So you're going to have to pardon me if I am a little dogmatic. But I only want to suggest that the statements I'm making are not without some thought and reason behind them. In my opinion, a society that aims for equality before liberty will end up with neither equality nor liberty.
All right, so let's punch out there. So you get the point. Here you have a college kid. I think this might have actually been 1980. I'll just go with late 70s. So 46 years ago. So he's probably in his late 60s now, saying the exact same thing that college professors were probably preaching since the 1960s. But the statements and the beliefs and the failed ideas and the failed ideology are exactly the same today. Nothing has changed. They're just passing it down in one form or another. Some of you might be shocked at hearing this stuff. Some of you are like, I know this stuff. Milton Friedman, Thomas Sowell, whatever. But the young person and the agitated woman that I played earlier sound exactly the same today. Let's see, who do we have here? Joey, Texas, go ahead, you evil, heartless bastard.
Hey, what's up, my friend? How you doing? Long time since CBGBs, my friend. And when we had the 70s and 80s, I swear I met you there many times. I'm pretty sure I have.
I did not hang around CBGBs, certainly not in the 70s, but not even in the 80s.
The 80s. I was at the 80s, 70s, 80s, Ramones, all that. Oh, it was great. But, I'm like listening to everybody. I think it has to do with the people and their brains. And whether they're a moron, they don't see what's going on, or they're deaf, they don't want to believe it. But all these people run into the social stuff. Look what's going on in New York. Look how Robert De Niro was kissing his ass. Now what are they doing? They want him out. Don't you people use your head and think, well, if New York was so gung-ho on it and it's still turning out not to be the truth or anything, why are we even thinking of it? It's moronic. It's the people. People make their decisions in their life the way they want to live. If you want free stuff, everybody knows nothing is free. Nothing is free in life. You have to earn for what you want. These millionaires and billionaires, they earned that. They worked their way there. They did the right thing.
Well, no, hold on. There are some people that have gotten rich with very little effort. They might have gotten lucky. They might have inherited whatever it is. That's still not the point. The idea that that government is here to divide up things that other people have, to take away from one person to give to another person, and that fixes the problem. That's been done before. Where has that ever fixed the problem?
It doesn't fix the problem. It puts the person more dependent on more free stuff. That's all it does. It doesn't teach them to go out there and earn it yourself. I mean, I'm driving a truck. You talked about the government gets involved with the business. The trucking back in the 80s was great. I made great money. I was on Loose Leaf Blonde. For 30 years, Andrew, I've been driving. 40 years. Loose Leaf Blonde. I have no accidents, no tickets, no points. Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, throughout Manhattan, all across country. The government kicked in on me when I sold my truck, and I had to go on this electronic blog. Never designed this, never drove a truck in their entire life. I'm finding myself working harder. I get my rest, don't get me wrong, but I'm pressured under a clock. You don't need a truck driver driving down the road at 80 miles an hour, because some speed limits are 80 out here, with all that pressure. This is what government causes. If the government stayed out of it, we wouldn't be forced on all this. And there wouldn't be all these deaths on these roads that you hear about. Who did that? The government. they allowed that.
Well,
so, and then
again,
people really vote. They got to vote with their head. Use your brains. Look what's going on around you. You're talking your country. You're talking your freedom, your rights.
Well, again, thank you very much for the call. I mean, I got to get to other calls here. The government does not solve the problems through confiscating, redistributing, granting, selecting who gets what. If it did, every other society that's tried it would be more successful than our own, and people would be trying to get into their country. Ted, Orlando, Florida, go ahead, you evil heart.
Sometimes you need a turn of a phrase simply to crystallize an idea for the listener. The American dream is the idea. Any of that. That's true.
I mean, it's just funny how he's like, well, it's not easy. Well, nobody said it is. Being successful is not easy.
I darn near flunked out of medical school because I'm not a memorizer, and pharmacology is the book of lists. I had to bust it to pass that course.
Again, it's none of this stuff is new. For those of you that are my age that heard this stuff maybe when you were younger, or even a little kid, or maybe got curious about it, in the early days of YouTube, none of it's new. None of it's new. Amy, Kentucky, go ahead, you evil, heartless babe.
Hey, Andrew. Thanks for taking my
Right
call.
back.
The first comment I have is, do these little women pass on sounding like high school mingles to each other, like generation to generation? That's exactly what she sounded like. She sounded like Caitlin Collins today. So it's pretty funny. But my comment was about, Al Sayed and winning the primary. We just don't learn. Don't they watch Mamdani in New York and what he's doing to ruin that city? And I don't understand how these people would want that for themselves.
I don't know. Well, first of all, what you're seeing, as with this Scott Galloway podcaster guy and others like Cynthia Nixon, their attitude is, I didn't mean me. I didn't mean this stuff should apply to me. I didn't think that I should have to do. I meant this was somebody else.
Yeah, and did people in Michigan maybe think that, there would be enough votes for the establishment candidates that they just didn't go out and vote? I mean, I don't know if that's what happened, but I'll be curious to see what happens in the general with Michigan.
Again, what we're seeing is nothing new, and the people who find themselves on the wrong end of this stuff didn't think they were going to be the ones they were talking about. They meant everybody else. Thank you for the call. Let's see, who do we have here? Rick, Michigan. Go ahead, you evil, heartless bastard.
That's me. Hey, Haley Stevens cost herself that election. She was up here running commercials, her and our esteemed governor, about how she stepped in with Barack Obama and saved the automobile industry. Well, if they saved the automobile industry, I want someone to go out and buy a brand new Pontiac or Oldsmobile or a Saturn because they no longer exist. Those jobs are gone. What they did was they saved the UAW so that they could get that big, generous contribution from a union, most of whose workers said screw the UAW and voted Republican.
You know what's funny is, I didn't even know that you could never be an auto worker and still be a member of the UAW if you just pay the dues.
Oh, at one time we used to be a right-to-work state, and then this bitch we got for a governor came in and got all that changed back. and pissed off a whole bunch of people.
Well, I don't think he's going to win the general election. I hope not. I mean, I hope not. Let's see. Okay. Bruce, Indianapolis, you are on the Will Majority. Go ahead, you evil, heartless bastard.
Hey, thanks for the compliment, and I hope you're doing well. I've been with you for 20 years.
Wow, thank you.
A few points. If you look at the Constitution and contrast that with socialism and communism, the two have absolutely nothing in common. They are mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. You can have one or the other. You cannot have both. The Constitution isn't pliant enough to support socialistic principles, and I don't know what hard stops exist to prevent this. But, you know, the other thing I would mention is have you ever seen the movie Enemy at the Gates with Joe Finnis? It's about Stalingrad.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, the communist says to the other guy, Judd Law, I believe, he says, you know, the communist ideal will never work because there's always something to envy. And I think he's right. You know, I think there's always, no matter what, you know, whether it be money, love, looks, whatever, there's always something that you can envy that you're not going to be able to fix. And I don't know what hard stops exist with our Constitution. It seems to me that they're going to have a hard time getting rid of the Senate. Don't they have to have a constitutional amendment to do that?
No, they're not. I mean, again, this is the problem. They're convincing people that if they win a majority, if they have the Congress, if they have the presidency, they should be able to pass a simple piece of legislation, getting rid of the Senate or getting rid of the Electoral College. They can't do that. Okay, but they don't care that they can't do that because they're convincing people they can.
Yeah, this would be the modern version of the intolerable acts that the colonists suffered through in the 1770s. So I'm not sure how far they can get with this message and this movement, but it seems to me that if they get too far, all bets are off. I mean, we signed on to the Constitution. I had a lot of ancestors who fought and died for this country. Actually, I had ancestors that marched on Lexington and Concord. So I don't understand how they can get this far without running into a wall. But one final point I got for you is a question for you. So you've got this thing that we call in and ask, or, for Andrew did this, right?
Yeah.
If enough guys call in, if enough people call in and say the only reason we have Sirius is because of you, do you get a Rush Limbaugh type contract? So you can move to a compound.
I don't know that there's any financial benefits to that, other than maybe 2 years from October I get re-signed again if they believe that there's enough of an audience to support the program. But no, I've not had a bonus
thing. What I said.
Well, thank you. Yes, you can do that, but I can assure you there's been no offer or financial bonus dangled in front of me if I get a requisite number of people to say, well, this is the only reason why I have Sirius XM. I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt. Okay, it's not going to hurt me in any way.
His daughter's getting ready for college, everybody.
I got a couple years. She's going into her junior year. Thank you very much for the call. 1-695 Patriot 957-2874. We are right. They are wrong. That is the end of the story. The arguments on this radio program cannot, will not, will never be broken. Sirius XM Patriot.
For all seasons, for all America, Fox Weather is your home for 24/7 weather coverage, bringing you the latest forecasts and live updates whenever weather matters. From breaking news to groundbreaking reports, America's weather team is here every step of the way, from when the storm breaks to after it passes. Fox Weather, channel 799, and anytime on the Sirius XM app. Just search weather.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. He was in great health. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. And super hard, obviously, for the whole family. But my dad had life insurance. So even after he passed away, he was still able to provide for my mom. And of course, by extension, my brother and I. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife, and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. 10 minutes. You're covered. Your family is covered. You get $2 million in coverage for $2 a day. That's a 10-year term life policy for a 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. We don't like to talk about death in our culture, but everyone's going to die. You are going to die. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Slater. Rates may vary, billed monthly. Ethos.com/Slater.
Hi, this is professional golfer Mark O'Mara. When it came to building my personal putting green, I called Celebrity Greens, the leader in customized synthetic golf greens. Celebrity Greens designed an amazing backyard green for me and a synthetic lawn area for my dogs that looks and acts just like natural grass. You can't beat Celebrity Greens' attention to detail and exceptional customer service. Learn how to create a championship putting green in your own backyard. Call the pros at Celebrity Greens, 1-888-507-7960, or visit them online at celebritygreens.com.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-949-1441. That's 800-949-1441. 800-949-1441. Hey, rockers and Kiss Army, you can meet Gene Simmons and other rock icons at the Legends of Rock Expo, September 25th through the 27th at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. More than 30 rock legends will be in one place. Gene Simmons and other members of Kiss, Stuart Copeland of The Police, Geezer Butler of Black Sabbath, Dave Davies of The Kinks, and more. Autographs, photo ops, live panels, plus 11 live band performances. Tickets are on sale now at legendsofrockexpo.com or buy them at the door.
All right, summer in America is supposed to feel loud with road trips, ball games, cookouts, fireworks, long days, and late nights with people you love. And Black Rifle Coffee Company built the fuel to keep up with all of it. Now, while some companies are suddenly discovering patriotism because this year America turned 250, BRCC has supported America, her military, her values, and the communities that keep this country strong since day one. And they'll keep celebrating every day, every year. This summer, stock the cooler with Black Rifle Coffee's new ready-to-drink cold brew coffee cans in just black or vanilla. Smooth, bold, built for hot days and early mornings. And when coffee alone doesn't cut it, grab Tiger Strike, their explosive bomb pop flavored energy drink with 0 sugar and 200 milligrams of caffeine. Find Black Rifle Coffee Cold Brew and Tiger Strike at Walmart, convenience stores, BRCC shops, or blackriflecoffee.com. Veteran founded, American roasted. This is America's coffee.
Crazy Uncle's favorite radio show, The Willpower Majority.
All right, phone lines, right to 695, Patriot 957-2874. So the media is doing nothing but trashing Trump's strategy as it relates to Iran. And much like the Western media, for example, will just repeat whatever Hamas says, right? If they say, well, the IDF killed 20,000 children, says who? Oh, well, the Hamas Ministry of Health. So you're listening to a terrorist organization. They don't even second guess it. Right? They don't even second guess it. And the same thing is happening now. Well, Trump's running out of missiles, says some leakers. Let me throw something out there. You know, it was said years after the capture of Saddam Hussein that he was behind the idea that he had nuclear weapons or weapons of mass destruction because he wanted the Iranians to think. right? That he wanted everybody to think he had nuclear weapons because he wanted Iran to think he had nuclear weapons. So he never denied that he had nuclear weapons. Do you ever think for a second that Trump wants Iran to believe we're running out of missiles? Do you ever think that he wants them to believe he's being erratic with announcing strikes and calling off strikes and what have you? We're not running out of missiles. We got more missiles than anybody. All right? We're not running out of anything. Because if we were, we would have run out of them in Ukraine. Not a single Democrat or member of the media ever second-guessed the cost of supporting Ukraine or what it meant to our stockpiles to transfer weapons to Ukraine. But now all of a sudden, we're running out of everything. We got nothing. I mean, Russia could roll in here, China could roll in here, North Korea, we got nothing. Wouldn't be able to defend ourselves. We got missiles all over the world. We have bases all over the world. We have supply all over the world. And we're producing weapons every single day in this country. But the media wants you... Where are they getting this idea that Iran is going to have control over one passageway in the Strait of Hormuz? Well, they're getting it from Iran. Iran says, we're going to come out with control of the Strait of Hormuz. Has that been woven into the fabric of any deal with the United States? Not that I'm aware of. But the media is reporting that Iran is going to be stronger after the action Trump took against them. Who believes that? Who believes that? Did they ever say, well, Libya is going to be stronger after action than Obama took? No, they didn't do that. Did they call into question the cost of it? No, they didn't. Did they claim he was violating violating the Constitution by not getting congressional approval? No, they didn't. As a matter of fact, Nancy Pelosi came out and said, Obama didn't need congressional approval. And if Democrats are going to complain now, they have to address what it was they did then or what they expected to be done then, when Obama went on a 7-month-long bombing campaign against a nation that already surrendered to us. So, I have an article right here from The Guardian. Let's call Trump's approach to Iran what it is: kindergarten diplomacy. Someone named Mustafa Bayoumi. Subheadline: amid stop and start threats with a divided staff, it's clear Trump has no idea how to end a war that shouldn't have begun. Right, that's another thing. ICE has no training. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. But they all put their faith in a guy who'd barely been a senator a year and a half before he started running for president, who had experience at nothing. Obama was an obscure Illinois state senator who voted present on controversial bills, then eked his way into the United States Senate and somehow became president of the United States. And nobody ever said, well, what's his experience? They said, shut up, you bigot. He represents something shiny and new. Now, again, we're talking almost 20 years ago. There's nothing shiny and new about the Obamas now. But we were told to shut up and not question his inexperience. Oh, but he had Joe Biden by his side. Did Barack Obama create the Abraham Accords? No. Did he make an ally out of Muslim nations with Israel? No. He sowed chaos in the Middle East. Absolute chaos. The Arab Spring, the bombing of Libya. I mean, I don't know how you can even say that Obama's foreign policy was at all coherent. So this guy writes, ever since the U.S. and Israel launched their latest war on Iran on February 28th, the people of the planet have been subjected to Donald Trump's on-again, off-again relationships with raining down catastrophic destruction on the nation. It started on 21 March when Trump promised to hit Iranian power plants, a war crime incidentally, unless Iran opened the Strait of Hormuz. He delayed that plan for 5 days and then another 10 days before issuing his next threat. That was on 7 April when he wrote a whole civilization will die tonight and never be brought back again. A mere 10 hours later, he walked back that genocidal threat. On 17 May, he wrote, "For Iran, the clock is ticking and they better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them." Time is of the essence. On 18 May, he wrote, and that he had been asked by the Gulf leaders to hold off on our planned military attack of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which was scheduled for tomorrow. The approach seems as tedious as it does childish, constantly threatening one thing only to back down in a cringy face-saving effort shortly thereafter. Let's call it what it is, kindergarten diplomacy. From appearances, it would seem that Trump considers this a strategy. Only one could assume he holds out hope that it will achieve an end to this catastrophic conflagration that he and Benjamin Netanyahu began. The war is a massive failure, plunging his popularity along with American regional dominance in the Middle East. What's clear is that Trump hasn't a clue how to exit a war he never should have started in the first place. Well, you know what's funny? Why do you want American regional dominance there? Is that something you wanted? Because it doesn't sound like you do. Sounds like you want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. And I don't remember these stinging criticisms of Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan. As a matter of fact, the media made it sound like it all worked out swell. You know, we're out of there now. Now, the New York Times headline: an angry Trump struggles to understand Iran's defiant leaders. President Trump's angry claim on Monday that Iran is being unbelievably duplicitous in its dealings with the United States was just the latest sign of his struggle to understand his rivals in Tehran. See, what they won't say is that he's dealing with apocalyptic Islamic radicals. He's not dealing with rational human beings. He's dealing with people who have an apocalyptic view of their religion and the caliphate. So it's not them that are crazy, it's Trump. This is our media. This is the New York Times. Mr. Trump considers himself a master of sizing up and exploiting his adversaries, but Iran's leaders have baffled him. All they do is make me angry, he told reporters last week. They just make me angry. Well, isn't it him proving they aren't trustworthy? See, they don't say, well, Obama got played, Biden got played with the Iran nuclear deal. No, Trump doesn't understand them. No, they're a bunch of apocalyptic liars. More frustration could be in store for the American president. Trump officials say that a new deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz may be near, but Iran continues to insist on collecting fees there that Mr. Trump has ruled unacceptable. Mr. Trump's inability to strike a favorable deal with Iran has not only cost him politically among war-weary voters, but continued strife around the crucial waterway that's made volatile oil prices at the expense of American consumers and the global economy. Mr. Trump is hardly the first U.S. president. You know that gas prices were higher under Obama at points, right? And don't lecture us about high prices when we had 9% inflation under Biden. These people are full of crap. They're not journalists, they're activists. The New York Times might as well be the press agency for the DSA. It's not Biden's fault that we have inflation. It's everybody else's fault. Somehow it's Trump's fault. Unbelievable. Oh, here. Some have been burned badly by Iran. A rare exception is President Barack Obama, whose 2015 nuclear deal with Iran was a 20-month diplomatic effort. Oh, God, please. And a major achievement. Get the hell out of here. Third hour next, Sirius XM Patriot.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary. In a world drowning in AI everything, where your news feeds and shows get faked and filtered, there's still one place showing real stories, real moments, live. Reels Plus. Home to America's #1 cable entertainment program, On Patrol Live, capturing police in real time across the U.S., plus thousands of hours of true crime, policing, and celebrity stories. So escape the fake and choose what's real. Subscribe now for just $4.99 per month and get a free 7-day trial at ReelsPlus.com. That's Reels with a Z, or anywhere you get your streaming apps. $5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PERFECT5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right through bank or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PERFECT5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code PERFECT5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. Offers vary by user and location. Go to Upside.com for terms and details.
Freedom never gets old. Celebrating America 250. Sirius XM Patriot 125.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm John Scott. Speaking to reporters on Tuesday, President Trump says a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz could come as early as today.
Tomorrow could happen. Tomorrow and the next. Tomorrow. A lot of progress has been made. And they called me and they said, please, let's talk. They want to talk. The funny thing is they never mention that. They always say, we're not talking. But they called. They wanted to talk. We've been talking. They want to make a deal. They do not want to be hit. This was the biggest hit since World War II, as I said. They did not, and they saw it happening. They saw all the goods being loaded. They saw everything. They knew exactly what was happening. I think it'd be very smart to make a deal. We'll see what happens.
The president said this is Iran's last chance. A heavily armed man who was checking out security at Trump National Golf Club in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, ahead of the president's visit there, is under arrest. Correspondent Laura Winters.
The 38-year-old facing 5 charges, including a felony. Staff spotting him scoping out security on Friday prior to the president's visit there on Tuesday. Court documents say the suspect was wearing an earpiece while taking pictures and videos of security guards and surveillance cameras on the property. The suspect returned again on Saturday, and that's when he was arrested. Detectives finding bullets in his pocket and a loaded gun in his car. When they search his home, they find a rifle, body armor, and a notebook reportedly containing disturbing statements about the president.
That is correspondent Laura Winters. Abdul El-Sayed wins the Michigan Democratic Senate primary. Republicans face their own test in Michigan in the governor's race, where the president's handpicked a candidate. U.S. Representative John James defeated Barry Johnson, a wealthy, free-speaking outsider. And wildfire smoke from Washington, Oregon, and Canada expected to worsen air quality across western Washington. That will be at least through midweek. More from townhall.com.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network, and a fine way to see for yourself why I switched from big wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Israel makes its position clear.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel will not withdraw from its current lines in Gaza until Hamas has completely disarmed. Netanyahu is pushing back on a recent deal announced by President Trump. He says President Trump thinks, his team thinks, they can get Hamas to disarm and demilitarize Gaza. They sent us a draft. We did not agree. We stand firm on our interest, and I believe both wisely and firmly. It marks a rare display of friction between allies, the U.S. and Israel. The agreement calls for Hamas to begin disarming and for Israel to halt its strikes and begin withdrawing. I'm Ed Donahue.
A record heat wave in Northeast Asia gripping South Korea, North Korea, and Japan. In Tokyo alone, 453 people were hospitalized in a single day. The temperature at 104 degrees Fahrenheit. News at townhall.com.
The fusion of rational thought and political analysis. This is what your brain has been waiting for. News, politics, and issues. Enhanced. You have just joined the Will Cal Majority.
Your generation of great talk radio. The founder of the new school. That's me, Andrew Volkow, Sirius XM Patriot phone line. As always, 1-866-95 Patriot, 957-2874. You know, I can't believe I just X'd out of it. The New York Times referred to the Iran nuclear deal under Obama as a foreign policy achievement, but now says Trump is stuck and doesn't know what he's doing with himself. Shouldn't you find that fascinating? And you know what's happened over the past few years? And I have to imagine there's foreign influential money flowing into this. We now have a political movement that not just hates an ally in the Middle East, but has allowed a hatred of Jewish people in the United States who have nothing to do with Israel to permeate. We have seen the growing intersection between the so-called LGBTQ community and radical Islamic communists. You told me 10 years ago that you would have this sort of pink-green, right? Pink and green coalition. I don't know. You know, Mike was digging up interviews for the 20th anniversary, and he found the one of me and Caitlyn Jenner, Bruce Jenner, and he's like, man, I was re-listening to that, and you were saying to Bruce Jenner, you know, my fear is that in the future they're going to be doing this to kids, and this is good. And he's like, you were calling it years out. So maybe if you told me there would be an alliance of the so-called LGBTQ community and a growing radical Islamic movement in the United States, I might say, well, you know, it'll be short-lived, but I can see it. I mean, when they say they don't recognize the Republican Party anymore, no, it's the Democratic Party that I don't recognize anymore. I don't recognize these people at all. The far radical left is swallowing this party. And I was look, did the Tea Party / MAGA movement swallow the Republican Party? Yeah, but I think it made it stronger. When you think about this, H.W. Bush, one term, Bob Dole lost. George W. Bush eked out a victory in 2000, won re-election as a wartime president in 2004. McCain couldn't beat a total amateur, nor could Romney. Yet we won with Trump And if you account for the voter fraud, it sounds like 3 times. Because as I said, and I've said this, free trade is a good thing. And so is lawful immigration. But when you had the globalists in the Republican Party saying we should forever and without limit trade cheap stuff for jobs for cheap stuff, and on top of that, we should bring in the cheapest workers from around the world. When I say this, I do not mean any sense of being conceited or condescending. And I've spoke about this often, and I don't couch my language a whole lot, by the way. That to people out there that pursue employment simply as a matter of taking care of themselves and their family, meaning they don't at an early age pursue a lifelong career. I've said this before, I don't mean to talk about myself. At a very early age, I had an interest in radio, and I knew this is what I wanted to do. And I worked towards it. Whatever it is that you do, if you worked towards it, I want to be in the military, I want to be a police officer, I want to own a business, I want whatever it is. When I say this, it's just a statement of reality, I think, that there are millions of people that just work to pay the bills. And there's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, I could see some benefit in not getting bored on the job. Meaning if you did something, let's say you worked at a big box store and you're like, okay, now I'm kind of a shift manager, but I'm bored doing this. Maybe I'm going to go work in hospitality, or maybe I'm going to go drive a truck, or I've been driving a truck for 10 years and I kind of want to not be out of the road so much, whatever, that you just seek whatever jobs. The view of absolute free markets globally said, okay, we're going to endlessly trade jobs in America in manufacturing for cheap stuff overseas, and then we're going to import people who end up making wages plummet for the average American. That's not good policy. But the Republicans that became globalists sought that, and they were wrong. Trump fixed that. Trump fixed that. Not entirely. We got to solve this tariff thing. We've got to get to near to net zero tariffs. But that's not something Romney was talking about. That's not something McCain was talking about. That was Trump. Trump brought that group of people away from the Democrats and into the Republicans. And I think it's a good thing. What the Democrats are doing now is they are pushing people out in favor of these boiled down, puritanical, leftist socialists. And I swear, at this point, I don't understand how an American Jew can support this. I don't understand it. But understand this, by the way. We don't have large-scale Jewish immigration anymore. We don't. I mean, even if the entire population of Israel moved here, it really wouldn't put a dent in the number of people that came here during Biden. Wouldn't even put a dent in it, right? But we do have this ongoing immigration into the United States from the Islamic world, and people like Abdul El-Sayed say that it is basically Islamophobia to question it. When did it become Islamophobia to ask prominent Muslims, what does the Quran say about other territories, conquering non-Muslims? Why is that Islamophobia to ask them what they believe? And I'm looking here at the free press. Europe's borderless dream becomes nightmare. The West sleepwalked into mass migration for more than a decade. Will a glaring breach of its borders jar it awake? And it says the images are unforgettable. More than 60,000 migrants entered the tiny Spanish territory of Ceuta, is that how you say it, from Morocco over the course of 24 hours. It's arguably the most vivid illustration we've seen of the migrant crisis that has transformed the face of Europe in one decade and that continues to consume the continent's politics. And no one saw it coming more clearly than our own Douglas Murray. That's the Free Press. And his 2017 book, The Strange Death of Europe, which chronicles the errors of judgment that led Western leaders to so carelessly open their borders to unlimited migration. Will the brief storming of Ceuta prompt a reckoning among European elites, or will the crisis linger on with the same denials and failed solution from the leadership class? So it says right here, that was sort of an editor's take on the piece. 11 years ago, almost to the day, Europe was experiencing a migration wave that threatened to make the continent buckle. In the space of a matter of weeks, more than 1 million people from Africa, the Middle East, and the Far East made their way into Europe, principally by crossing the islands of Greece and Italy, the soft underbelly of Europe. As various European countries started to panic, it was German Chancellor Angela Merkel who decided to control the day. Wir schaffen das, she said in August 2015, we can do this. Merkel and some of her counterparts in the EU effectively suspended normal immigration procedures and opened the borders of Europe to anyone who wanted to come. In those days, the route to Europe via Spain was relatively quiet. That was because the option of getting into Europe via Central and Southeastern Europe had opened up, so there was less need for migrants to use the Spanish option. There was also effective agreements with the Moroccan authorities, unlike those in Los Libya, for instance, which saved Spain from the most challenging of the 2015 wave. See, remember this. Remember this. Merkel threw the border open, and 1 million people crossed in, and it's been nothing but problems. The welfare usage, the lack of assimilation, it's the same story in France, it's the same story in the UK, it's the same story, it was the same story in Sweden until they put an end to it. It is considered now the death of Europe. How does Western culture and the United States survive the type of policies that Biden put in place and people like Abdul al-Said want to promote in the future? How do we? See, this is what happens when you have guilt-ridden, upper-middle-class, overeducated, useless white women, or as Saad says, suicidal empathy. It's suicidal empathy. He's 100% right. I wouldn't even take credit for that phrase. I can't. It's his. But he's 100% right. I can take credit for the line, you can't bring there to here without here becoming there. If these DSA members had their way, they would abolish ICE and the CBP. They would abolish the Department of War or Department of Defense, however you want to call it. And they would tear down the sovereignty of the United States. In other words, their fantasy that we're going to bring all these people from the third world and the Islamic world into the United States, and they're going to create a pro-diversity, LGBTQ, blah, 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 utopia is absolute effing nonsense. It is nonsense. The reason why the third world is the third world is because of the people there. That's it. 966-95 Patriot 957-2874. You know, I remember something my dad said to me. I will never apologize for being raised by supportive parents in a middle-class neighborhood that had safe streets, decent schools, good parks, and was genuinely a nice place to live. F you if you think people need to check their privilege, okay? And I will never apologize for raising my kids the same way. And you know what's funny? And I don't mean to be self-indulgent here. My oldest daughter We live in a lake community, and most of the houses are pretty modest, as you would see in most lake communities. And then we have the subdivisions with the 4-bedroom, the 5-bedroom homes, and the 2.5 acres, and all that. And my daughter gets somewhat jealous of that. And I said, I'll tell her, we chose to live in this lake community. That's right. We don't have a big house. We don't have a big stately house with double doors and everyone in their own bathroom. And we chose to live in this lake community. And I'm telling you right now, when you look back on it, you're going to be glad we did. Nothing wrong with having a big house if that's what you want. And I'm not even saying that with any air of condescension. My wife and I chose to live in a house that had the lake lifestyle. That's what we wanted. And I'll never apologize for giving my kids that. Okay? What do you think that way of life would look like if many of you had that, or have that now, or want to have it? Right? My father, though, I asked him once about the town we grew up in, the neighborhood. He said, this is a nice neighborhood because of the people. And I reflected on that before the program today. And before we talk about the DSA now wanting their members to sign on to dismantling the government of the United States. We have problems with the government, don't get me wrong. But my dad said of the area where I grew up, the town and the community is nice because of the people. Okay? The S-hole parts of the world, in some way, has to do something with the people. It can't just be like there was no international coin toss where they said, well, that's going to be a nice country and that's going to be an S-hole. The reason why it's an S-hole has to have something to do with the people there. If you bring people from an S-hole into a nice place, does it become more of a utopia, or does it become an S-hole? Think about that for a second. By the way, today is my father's birthday. God rest his, up in heaven. The town you live in is nice because of the people. The country you live in is good because of the people. When you have a third world dump, it's also because of the people. And if you import them endlessly, they're not going to be turned into here. They're going to turn here into there. And that's a fact. All right, 186-95, Patriot 957-2874. My buddy, Representative Ralph Norman from South Carolina is going to join me. He is running in the Republican primary for Senate. It's August 11th. We'll talk to him next. Sirius XM Patriot.
Step inside house music with no limits. Experts only radio. Presented by superstar DJ John Summit.
Let's go, baby!
Hear exclusive DJ sets and the music that he's performing from Ibiza to Las Vegas and beyond. It's John Summit. Hear Experts Only Radio for a limited time on Channel 105, tomorrow, and always on the Sirius XM app.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Over the years, I've been asked by countless advertisers to recommend their products, their services. Look, the simple truth is I turn a lot of them down. Why? Because when I put my name behind a company, it's got to mean something to me and it's got to be real. That's why for over 10 years now, I have only recommended RushTaxResolution.com. I know the guys at Rush Tax. I spend time with their team. They genuinely care about helping people who have received those very scary notices from the IRS and have no idea what to do next. Whatever you do, their top advice, don't deal with them on your own. They're the pros. They do it every day. They will only take your case if they know they can help you. Do what so many of my listeners have done and call the only tax resolution company I trust, the only one I recommend, and tell them your friend Sean Hannity sent you. Call now, 800-258-7050, 800-258-7050. Online is RushTaxResolution.com.
A lot of companies pretend to care about patriotism because America's 250th birthday was this year. Black Rifle Coffee Company didn't need a reminder. Since day one, BRCC has celebrated America, her military, her flag, and the people who keep America running every day. That's not a seasonal campaign. It's the foundation the company was built on. Veteran-founded, American roasted, no gimmicks, no fake messaging. This summer, BRCC is bringing that patriotic energy everywhere with limited edition red, white, and blue commemorative bags for fan favorites like Just Black, Beyond Black, and Spirit of 76. These coffees are built for early mornings, long weekends at the lake, road trips, and cookouts that stretch late. Because patriotism shouldn't show up once every 250 years. It should mean something every day. Find them now at Walmart, your local grocery store, a Black Rifle coffee shop, or blackriflecoffee.com. Veteran founded, American roasted, America's coffee.
In a world drowning in AI everything, where your news feeds and shows get faked and filtered, there's still one place showing real stories, real moments live. Reels Plus. Home to America's #1 cable entertainment program, On Patrol Live, capturing police in real time across the U.S., plus thousands of hours of true crime, policing, and celebrity stories. So escape the fake and choose what's real. Subscribe now for just $4.99 per month and get a free 7-day trial at ReelsPlus.com. That's Reels with a Z, or anywhere you get your streaming apps.
Mark Levin.
The first time in the history of mankind, a clean slate, a nation was born. During the Revolutionary period, the most important philosopher was John Locke. John Locke talked about sovereignty, the sovereignty of the individual, the consent of the governed, representative government. Almost got him killed. After all, he lived under a monarchy.
The Mark Levin Show, weekdays starting at 6 p.m. Eastern on SiriusXM Patriot. Freedom never gets old.
When the media makes you sick, look how settles your stomach.
All right. Joining me in the program right now is Representative Ralph Norman, South Carolina's 5th Congressional District, running in the Republican primary, which is August 11th. How you doing, sir?
Fine, Andrew. Glad to be with you.
Let me say right off the bat, I came right out of the gate and I said I don't like the idea of simply passing the Senate seat to Lindsey Graham's sister. But I also said I understand the sentiment. I understand it was supposed to originally be a short stint, temporary. If it goes beyond that, I'm going to have to say I don't like this idea that we have some coronation. I don't know anything about her. Okay, I don't know anything about her, and the idea that we just pass the seat to someone's sister or brother or wife or whatever, I don't like the idea.
Yeah, I mean, the president has his right to endorse whoever, and I called, and actually anybody would want his endorsement. South Carolina went overwhelmingly for President Trump. That being said, the people in South Carolina are going to pick who the next senator is, and I think it's a plus that President Trump has endorsed her. But, it's the people are going to make the decision, and they'll weigh the endorsement versus the others. I've got endorsements of the most conservative senators in this country, and Mike Lee and Rick Scott, Jim DeMint. So we all want good endorsements, and we all want people to get on board. But, I like my chances. I'm leading in the polls. There's no better way to give than to try to wake up a Senate that is the deathbed of any good legislation, namely the SAVE Act. It's ridiculous, Andrew, that they're not passing that or even taking it up. So this is a good incentive for me to run. I've got a background of disrupting something that's just wrong, and the Senate's taking the wrong tact on so many different things.
Well, I mean, look, if Trump made his endorsement, it wouldn't be the first time that MAGA voters pick someone else.
Yeah, and he had picked the Lieutenant Governor, Pamela Abbott. Now he came back and had a joint endorsement with the ultimate winner, Alan Wilson, which he's got that prerogative, and I respect that. But in this race, it's going to be a clear example of
two different people, and I think I will be in the runoff. I am leading it, and I think she will most likely be in the runoff. Russell Fry is the other one, of course, Mark Sanford and Mark Lynch. But it's a crowded field, but competition is good.
You had enough of Mark Sanford. I mean, he kind of went disappearing in South America. You were just like, I don't know. Do you really think they want more Mark Sanford?
Well, I like Mark. I think his voting record was good, and he made that decision to get in. And when people ask me about Darlene, she's got every right to enter. She's got every right to run. And let the people decide. And there are a lot of new voters in South Carolina, Andrew. If every one person who is left, we have two people coming to South Carolina. It's a great state. It's a business-friendly state. And I want to, take it to another level. And Lindsey Graham and I went to both funerals. Lindsey had a great personality. We are two different people. I will vote differently than what Lindsey Graham voted. But he supported the military, which is a great thing. And the situation that he caused to happen with Judge Kavanaugh, I'll always be grateful for that's what he did. He did that. He put him in.
So, you expect to be in the run. What was the field? 10 people altogether?
It's 9.
9? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, just a dumb question. Are you surprised Nikki Haley didn't jump in?
I called Nikki. Nikki's endorsed me, and I don't think she wants that. I mean, she's been as governor, she's been UN ambassador. She's done a lot of things. If she had a new grandchild, I think she's enjoying private life, and with her children and serving on boards. And so we haven't heard the last of Nikki Haley. I'll say that.
Okay, so look, you have a legislative track record. Darlene Graham doesn't. So go ahead, respectfully. Give me the pitch for you versus her.
The pitch for the reason Ralph Norman is entering this race, we're at a tipping point in this country. We could go totally socialistic, as we've seen in New York, Virginia, California, Oregon, and other states, or we can keep South Carolina red and try to have influence on the Senate that's killing everything. I'm the only one that's got a successful business background. I'm the only one that's got an 8-year track record that, by any measure, Heritage Foundation, Club for Growth, Turning Point USA, all of those, they rate how you vote. I'm the only one that's got a conservative record, and I will take that to the Senate and wake up a Senate that needs to be changed in so many ways. And I've got the courage to do that. I'm the only one that stood with the frontline doctors when Fauci, who is now testifying, pulled the biggest coup of the American people. It cost 1 million lives. I mean, milquetoast politicians are not going to make this country survive. They're just not, and we've got too many of them now.
I thought the simple answer is we have no idea what she believes because we don't know her. That's my concern. I don't know anything. Just being Lindsey Graham's sister doesn't mean I know anything about her. I know about you. I know your voting record. Now, I don't endorse people in primaries. That's just not something I do. But I don't know anything about her. And, for her to be in the same league as you and others who have a track record, and look, we've had a lot of great Donald Trump didn't have a track record, and he made a great president. I'm just saying that I, first of all, don't like the idea of just passing a seat to someone because they're related to someone who held the seat. The other side of that is I don't know anything about her. She's not had to cast any crucial votes yet.
Well, it's like Michael Jordan passing the captain of a NBA team to his son who's never played basketball before. I mean, you don't do that on anything. And again, I respect her for running. She worked for the Federation of the Blind. It was a governmental agency. She's never had to cast hard votes. And the Senate is, you're one of two people in South Carolina and one of 99 others across the country. It's a big undertaking. I've taken the tough votes. I will continue to take the tough votes that bring this country back to sanity. But we're going to lose it if we turn it over to people who are, either who have different views. I don't know what Darlene's opinion on the death penalty, on life of the unborn. I don't know how she feels about regulations. She did not come to the debate last night, which she should have been there. But she charts her own course, which is fine. But the people in South Carolina will make a choice. And in 6 days, we will know what that choice is. And I'm confident they're going to pick me to represent them.
To be fair, I would interview her if she wants to come on this program, because I interview everybody that I can get my hands on, so that's the concern I would have. I mean, was it originally supposed to be, what was there any sort of unspoken agreement that she wasn't going to run for the seat full time, that this was just, like I said, I understand the sentiment, okay? I understand why in the temporary you might have Darlene Graham, and obviously other senators would be there to coach her. But if she were to win the election in November, then she would be on her own as a freshman senator. Was there ever any unspoken belief that she wasn't going to run for the seat?
To my knowledge, no. She was, the governor, city governor, Henry McMaster, had the prerogative to pick the successor for the term ending on November 3rd of 27. And so I think she just decided, maybe, I don't know whether the president had talked her into it or not. Bottom line, she's in the race. And she's vying for the job as, 8 others are.
Okay. All right. Well, that's not a good thing that she did not come out and debate. I think that's absolute. Look, there's no law that says you have to come out and debate, but if people already don't know who she is, you would think she would take the opportunity to say, I'm Darlene Graham. This is what I believe. This is what differentiates me from Ralph Norman or Mark Sanford or whoever. You'd think change if she continues to not tell the voters of South Carolina where she stands?
I think the people will judge her. I mean, you never knew what, if he's ever flown a plane, to go up with you for 6 years, to pilot a plane. I don't think you would, and I don't think the voters are going to take lightly to that, as they should. I mean, you've got to know where you are, and she's chosen it though. She can chart her own course, and this is what she's decided to do. I will give her credit. She came to the first debate, but we had one Monday in Columbia, that we had one last night in Charleston. But we should have 5 debates and not limit it to an hour. You will have it for an hour and a half and take any and all questions. And I would think she would want to do that, but she decided not to. And then she said she had to do something with the Senate. The Senate is not doing anything, to my knowledge. I mean, I don't know of anything that at night, 7 o'clock at night, that they're doing other than sleeping.
All right, I'm going to take a break. Good luck to you. I think she should be out there as much as possible. Again, we know you, and we know your voting record. I don't know anything about her voting record because she doesn't really have one. So if she wants to be the next senator from South Carolina, she should be laying out her core ideas and beliefs, and not just say, well, whatever Lindsay did, because you're not Lindsay, you're you. In the end, people are going to have to vote for you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think they're going to make that choice, and they'll make that distinction. And without knowledge, I don't know how that'll bode for her or really anybody else.
All right. Is there anything, but before I let you go, is there any topic I actually didn't ask you about Iran or Fauci or anything? I mean,
Fauci needs to be in a orange jumpsuit. The Save America Act has got to be passed. I'll blow up the filibuster, whatever it takes. Iran, the war needs to come to an end. by any means, and the country is, I can't think, getting weary of it. Gas prices, house prices, affordability is the top issue all over this country.
All right. We will talk soon. RalphNormanForSenate.com is the website. RalphNormanForSenate.com is the website. The primary is August 11th. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Andrew. Bye.
All right, 16695 Patriot 957-2874. We are right. They are wrong. That's the end of the story. The arguments on this radio program cannot be broken. Sirius XM Patriot.
Straight Shooter with Stephen A.
This is Stephen A. Smith, and I've got something to say.
We're talking politics, power, and the real issues that shape our lives.
I want to make sure I position myself to be one of those voices that America wants to hear on these matters. I'll be open to being educated, corrected when I'm wrong, but I anticipate those moments to be few and far between.
Straight Shooter with Stephen A. Wednesday, 6 p.m. East on POTUS Channel 124 and on the Sirius XM app.
Results vary. Credit score increases, funding approvals, credit line amounts, and funding timelines are not guaranteed and depend on individual qualifications and lender requirements.
They're pounding on the door. They're calling on the phone. They're threatening to close your business. If debt has your business on the brink, call Ray Reynolds, the godfather of credit. For over 40 years, Ray Reynolds has helped thousands of customers get millions in cash credits. It's no wonder why they call Ray the godfather of credit. He may even be able to raise your score above 750 before the end of the year. You could even get a new personal or business credit line up to $50,000 within days. If your credit needs a rebuild, call Ray Reynolds and receive a $1,000 cash credit card at closing. Raise your credit score to 750 or more. Call Ray Reynolds at 800-235-4364. 800-235-4364. Learn about Ray's secrets to success and how he can fix and improve your credit score to 750 or more. Call the godfather of credit rebuild, Ray Reynolds, at 800-235-4364. 800-235-4364.
Mr. President, we have a situation.
Lioness, the hit original series from Taylor Sheridan, is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
National security has been compromised.
Lioness targets could be released publicly. Starring Zoe Saldana, Michael Kelly, with Morgan Freeman and Nicole Kidman.
You may have your funds, you may have everything. I'm gonna figure out who's behind this, and I'm gonna kill them all.
Lioness, new season now streaming, only on Paramount Plus.
My name is Preston James. I've been a stock and options trader for 23 years. I used to be an active swing trader, but that all changed once I discovered my Money Press weekly paycheck method. These days, I'm a passive trader hauling in more cash while being able to sleep at night than I ever dreamed possible. I'm passionate about the market and I like to keep it simple. My methods are changing thousands of lives and I'm confident it can change yours. But let the proof do the talking. By going to accountproof.com, that's accountproof.com, you'll see a 7-minute video revealing how my Money Press method grew a $54,000 account to $174,000 in less than 9 months. That works out to 5.8% per week. You'll see the proof right inside my real brokerage account. This isn't about overnight riches, but once you discover this for yourself, you can start on this same path overnight. You're 7 minutes away from changing everything you thought you knew about trading and investing. Go to accountproof.com to get started. That's accountproof.com.
Hi, I'm Joe Perillo with JoePerillo.com. We know many of you are searching for just that right pre-owned luxury vehicle. That's why I want to tell you about JoePerillo.com. At JoePerillo.com, you can browse our huge selection of curated luxury vehicles. JoePerillo.com is based in Chicago, but we ship cars all over the country. Check out JoePerillo.com. That's Joe Perillo, Perillo, or dial 312-BMW 1111. That's 312-BMW 1111. 312-BMW 1111.
I want you to think about something for a second. What if you died tomorrow? What would happen to your family? Would they be okay financially? Could they cover the bills? Would they keep the house, keep things going? What about your kids, their future, their education? Well, I've got good news. There is a simple way to help protect your family, and that's with life insurance through Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy. It's 100% online. There's no complicated process. There's no medical exam. Just a few simple health questions. And with Ethos, you can get a quote in seconds. Apply in minutes and get same day coverage. You'll even get your lowest rate from their network of trusted carriers. Some policies are as low as $30 a month, but you can get up to $3 million in coverage. So take 10 minutes to get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. For your free quote, visit ethos.com/Wilkow. That's ethos.com/Wilkow, ethos.com/Wilkow. Rates may vary. Application times may also vary.
You're listening to the Wilkow Majority in your free live.
So let's do this. Jersey City is $250 million in the hole because of the former Democrat Mayor Stephen Fulop, who actually tried to run for governor of the state. You know, I'm not going to say thank God for Mikey Sherrill, but by comparison, Jersey City is $250 million in the hole. They are expecting, I think they're getting $150 million from the state, which is every one of us that doesn't live in Jersey City. And they're trying to raise property taxes. I think it was like 15 or 20%, some insane amount of money. And most of Jersey City is a freaking dump. Okay, there are some like up and coming hip parts because the real estate was so cheap, but a lot of it's a dump. Here's the mayor, James Solomon, telling you how he's going to solve these big problems in Jersey City. Cut 6.
Jersey City. Today we had 4 reports of ICE activity in the Heights and downtown. This comes just days after a New Jersey man, a father, a 20-year resident of our state, died in ICE custody at Delaney Hall. ICE says they're going after criminals, but all the evidence says otherwise. They are targeting and terrorizing everyday folks living across our state and in Jersey City. So we're going to fight back with everything that we have. I mandated in my first week in office no cooperation between Jersey City PD and Jersey City civilians with ICE. And then we have mandated that every Jersey City employee is trained in that. We have fought and won in court when ICE sued us to get rid of our sanctuary city policies, and we divested from Citizens Bank when they were investing in private prisons and ICE detention. And they have since divested from ICE in part because of our actions with the city council here in Jersey City. I want you to know that I've reached out to our federal representatives. We are actively working to help the families, make sure that they know where their loved ones are, and provide legal services and other resources. And we will continue using every tool that we have to fight back against these folks that are terrorizing the folks who make Jersey City a special place and community. And we will always stand up and have the backs of immigrants in Jersey City.
So rather than try to find the way to dig themselves out of a hole, the mayor is going to throw all of his resources behind the illegals. If you're dumb enough to stay in that city, I'm sorry. They're just going to jack you for taxes, and they're going to give it all away to people. That's all he cares about. That's all he cares about. As a Democrat mayor, all he cares about is the illegal immigrants. And this guy that died at Delaney Hall, he had a heart attack. Okay? He could have had a heart attack anywhere. They make it sound like ICE killed him or the private facility killed him. He had a heart attack. He could have had a heart attack anywhere. Should have had a heart attack in the country that he's from. And he could have been there if he just agreed to deportation. So let's stop pretending that Delaney Hall is some sort of death trap. The guy had a heart attack. 1-866-95 Patriot 957-2874. And that happens. That happened. I love this. I would love to sit down with Caitlin Collins. I would be civil. Immigrant held at Jersey ICE facility dies, officials say. He's not an immigrant. An immigrant who somebody goes through a lawful process. And then it says, a Salvadorian man being held at a controversial immigration detention facility. Who made it controversial? You. There's nothing controversial about it. It's a detention facility for those facing deportation. In New Jersey has died, federal officials said Monday, marking the latest death of an immigrant in ICE custody. Edwin Lopez Cornejo, a migrant detained at the Delaney Hall Detention Center, was pronounced dead on Saturday by medical workers at University Hospital in Newark, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement said in a statement. The privately owned facility at the center of allegations of inhumane conditions for detainees, which led to days-long protests earlier this year and clashes between law enforcement and protesters that prompted the city's mayor to enact a temporary curfew. Lopez Cornejo experienced a medical emergency while in ICE custody, and GEO facility staff and medical staff responded immediately, called 911 for emergency services, ICE said. The official cause of death remains pending after further medical examination. He had a heart attack, all right? He had a heart attack. He had a heart attack. They called 911. They did everything they could. I'm sorry this man died. How about this? If he was in his home country, he wouldn't have died in Delaney Hall. He was in El Salvador, which, by the way, has Nayib Bukele as their president. They're doing pretty good down there. Safest country in South America and Central America. I'm telling you, I'm proving to you, I'm showing you that these Democrats only give a damn about non-citizens. The mayor is $250 million in the hole, and he's spending all his resources defending illegals, just like the governor. The Democrats want to raise taxes in New Jersey so they can spend more on illegals. They're already spending $20 million on legal defense funds. Not education, not public safety, on the illegals. Everything for the illegals. All right, let me get some calls here to wrap up. Karen in Atlanta, go ahead, you evil, heartless babe.
Well, I'm glad to get to talk to you. I was actually working. I work most of the time, that's why I don't get to hear you, but you had a great show today.
Thank you.
In fact, I think it's one of your best ever, to tell you the truth.
Thank you.
Especially, with the part that you played from the 80s or 70s. I'm 62. I never heard that.
Really?
No, I never heard it. I've heard of him, but, this is, you can't get people to listen to this. I have a 36-year-old son, an intelligent person, and I can't get him to listen to me or his father. And we didn't do this. And he is so far to the left, I don't know how it happened. Actually, we do know how it happened now, but he wouldn't listen to this, what you played.
See, the funny thing about playing it is it's to prove to these people that nothing they are doing is new. Nothing they're hearing is new. Nothing that's being said by the DSA is new. We played the Reagan clip because, 99 years ago, the head of the Socialist Party admitted that, people won't vote for socialism, but they will vote for liberalism.
I don't understand why, and I asked my 92-and-a-half-year-old father shortly before he died if his sister, who was the black sheep of the family and a liberal, if she would be voting for this kind of thing. And he told me, yes, she would. She'd be right on with it the whole way. And I said, well, why is that? You have the same parents. He said, well, I've thought about this a lot. He's 92-and-a-half. And I've come to the conclusion that liberalism is a mental disorder.
That's been said by many. I think that was Michael Savage's line. Thank you very much for the call. It's because there is one of the things that is ignored is the fantasy is that, like a beehive, everybody's going to give up their own self-interest and just provide for the community. And anything else than that is considered selfish. But in a way, what one person might call selfishness, another might call, as Ayn Rand said, rational self-interest. That yes, and when someone runs for office and condemns selfishness or rational self-interest, they're saying, well, I want something from you, a vote for me, so I can have more power, which they'll say on your behalf. But when was the last time you saw a politician get poor? Right? When was the last time? You have to be a little selfish or have rational self-interest to run for office because you're asking to be rewarded with something. You're actually asking to be rewarded with something for nothing. So don't lecture me about rational self-interest and selfishness when you're asking for all the votes. But the fantasy is that everybody's just going to stop pursuing their own interest and only pursue a genuine community interest. But human beings don't do that. That's not human nature. That's another reason why socialism falls apart. Let's see, who do we have here? David, Pennsylvania. Go ahead, you evil, heartless bastard.
Thanks for taking my call, Andrew. I love you. In fact, I've been listening a long time. 2009, when I got my first Sirius subscription, and I'm going through channels, and the very first thing I heard was, the arguments on this radio program cannot take me. So I stayed on the station ever since, never looked back.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
the man.
Thank you.
But gotta disagree with you today, buddy. I'm not understanding how Trump is doing this. You were talking about the New York Times. You know, Iran is in the same situation as Britain was in World War II. You cannot win. World War II proved you cannot win a war with air power alone. And his targeting, I don't understand. You don't have to destroy power plants. If you want to bring them to their knees, take out the transmission lines. They can produce all the power they want, but they can't get it out of the power plants. But it's useless. You want to take Clark Island, you don't destroy the oil reservoirs and the tanks. You destroy the food canteens. You take out their food stores and their water supply. They're going to, pray to hours. They die of thirst and starve to death. You take out the rail systems. You take out some track. You tell China you're going to send, rockets. I guess that was a news report. We're going to sink anything that comes near the island. You create a perfect air siege, but you've got to make the people and the population and the government suffer. They don't suffer. I mean, they're in the exact same position Britain was.
We're not trying to make the Iranian people suffer. And we're not trying to take territory or reclaim territory. We're trying to stop them from getting a nuclear weapon, which is very different than past wars. Thank you very much for the call. This is not a claim or reclaim or a retaking of territory. We're not trying to conquer the Iranian people. We're not even trying to conquer the Iranian country. We're trying to stop their apocalyptic regime from getting a weapon they said they would use on us.
Yeah, it is a nice Camaro, isn't it? Good to see you, Jody.
Edward, Texas, go ahead.
OSS convertible. Soft top.
Absolutely love the show. Listen, a lot of the conversation has been around guardrails to candidacy and preventing the spread of communism and socialism. Listen, I went to law school. I graduated from law school, so I'm approaching this from a very academic standpoint or point of view. When the Constitution and state constitutions were written, the assumption was if you were a U.S. citizen, then you love this country and you would stand by its principles, or you were a state resident and you would represent the state in its best interest. That is no longer the case. These people, these socialists and communists, hate this country. They're qualified by default. The way to fix this, or a way to pump the brakes on this, is to require. You could go by state referendums to require that candidates pass a constitutional law exam. The same way
you're gonna do that.
Exam. Every profession has a credential requirement. Certainly.
Well, hold on. You'd have to. That's not contained in the Constitution. There's lots of dumb lawyers. There's lots of lawyers that reject the concept of the Constitution, and there's lots of lawyers that don't even know what it actually says because they didn't even study it in law school. I understand your sentiment there, but you really can't put that. You'd have to change the Constitution to make that happen. Look, there's lots of things I wish people read before they went into office, starting with the Constitution. That would be nice. Maybe some of the Federalist Papers, maybe an understanding, and to accept limits on power. That's another thing. Whenever Obama would do something that we didn't like, they said, well, he got elected. Well, he got elected. But they don't recognize that with Trump. But no, every office in the that's created in the Constitution has a limit to it, and checks and balances. All right, Hannity's up next, then Levin, Stacey Washington. We are right. They are wrong. That's the end of the story. The arguments on this radio program cannot be broken. Sirius XM Patriot. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Now, if a family member or friend asked you for financial advice or where to go for tax help, well, would you send them somewhere with hundreds and hundreds of complaints? Of course not. That's why for years you've heard me say if you do owe back taxes, if you didn't file returns in years gone by, or if you are a business owner and you're behind on your payroll taxes, you need to call my friends at Rush Tax Resolution today. Now, hiring the wrong companies can make your situation a lot worse and put
Costco, Perrysburg.
and or your company in jeopardy. Now, there are a lot of imposters out there, but Rush Tax Resolution, they are the only tax relief firm I trust and recommend. They are A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They have protected so many of my listeners from tax disasters and saved them a ton of money. Call Rush Tax now for a free IRS transcript investigation, and they'll tell you upfront and for free if they can help you. They will only take your case if they know they can help you, period. 800-258-7050. 800-258-7050. RushTaxResolution.com.
This is Dr. Dino Prado, founder of Invita Medical Centers. Every day, patients lose their lives, not just to cancer, but to the delays in the system. The latest treatments often take decades to reach the people who need them the most. At Invita, we refuse to wait. Our destination center brings the best technologies from around the world with personalized care to help our patients. Because care delayed is care denied. Every patient deserves the right to fight. Invita Medical Centers, we're here for you. envita.com.
Yeah, Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously. A little family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife, and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Slater.
Never gets old. Celebrating America 250. Sirius XM Patriot 125.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm John Scott. Multiple people are reported dead after a mass shooting in North Carolina. The Sheriff's Office were dispatched to the area of Brooks Road in Prospect Hill, an unincorporated town. The North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation said several people have been killed. Authorities say a man who was arrested at President Trump's Los Angeles area golf course has pleaded not guilty to all charges, including several felonies.
The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department says 38-year-old Janine John Taylor was taking photos and video and had a 16-round magazine with ammunition in his pocket. Authorities recovered a loaded pistol in his car. Taylor was arrested Sunday after appearing to monitor security preparations at Trump National Golf Course, 2 days before the president's fundraiser there. Investigators searched Taylor's home in Downey, California, and found several firearms, magazines and ammunition, body armor, and a notebook that contains what authorities describe as concerning statements. I'm Mike Hempen.
The world waits on whether there's going to be a deal on reopening the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump says an agreement with Iran could be imminent. Florida Senator Rick Scott tells the Salem Radio Network
it's always imminent, but never happens.
With former NIH Director Anthony Fauci, who refused to answer any questions about COVID.
Homeland Security Committee, which I'm on, we're going to put in the contempt, and then that will get referred to the Department of Justice, and they'll make a decision what they're going to do. We'll never sit down and Peter Navarro went to jail. I would say basically, not being romantic.
I haven't looked at the, are you still here, Jody? I haven't looked at the Fantasy League yet to see if we're filled up or not. We are. I'll probably set it up for pretty soon, either not this weekend, but maybe next weekend.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Christian Healthcare.
We got a lot going on right now with work in the bar.
If you're tired of year-long
That's actually where I'm heading. I'm not going to Costco.
restrictions, CHM offers anytime enrollment on your schedule and at your convenience. With CHM, you're paying half the cost of a traditional health insurance plan. So that puts more money back into your budget for everyday needs. Plus, you'll have access to CHM's care solutions for virtual appointments, prescription savings, surgery support, and more. My family and I joined in 2018, and it's changed our lives for the better. We love paying way less while helping other believers afford their medical bills. Take the leap of faith and see why Christians across the nation are better with CHM.
Get started by calling 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS for a 50% credit towards your first month. That's 1-833-JOIN-CHM.
What do I have to fix today? I had to get our HR person connecting her new laptop to the badge printer. I'm the oldest employee here, and I didn't have a badge. I made her make me one too. Man, do I look scruffy as fuck. Then I had to fix a connection issue with one of the other supervisors' laptops, and then I met with the vice president that was there of the company about my salary. Hey, Eggsy. No worries, man. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, here's my badge. Like, make me one. I'm the only one who don't have one. She's like, because you started before I did. No, I'm just leaving Defiance. I'm going to Reds right now. Meeting Bill there. Maybe we may have made some huge progress. Go discuss that with him. Fear the beard, yeah. Yeah, I look scruffy as hell in that picture, but oh well. My hair is sticking up in the air. Should have done it after I got a fresh haircut. All right, thanks, man. I'm not going to remonetize until the 7th, so if it makes you gives you ads, I apologize. Took away all my red badges too, because I didn't have my 75 or whatever. Oh no, it still has. You still have yours. Cool. Yeah, she's like, let me take your picture. I said, well, I'm getting a haircut Friday. Let's put it off. She's like, no, you're going to bitch at me about your badge. You're getting it today. I'm like, fuck.
Revisit the Electoral College. We need to revisit the point of expanding the court. Trickle-down economics is not a theory. It is fact. They have been stealing. I'm not supposed to pick up this microphone. I think it's just laying down. Is back in style. The revolution. Coming to your city.
much, and thanks to all of you for being with us. Right down our toll-free telephone.
Oh yeah, yes, dial certain
This extravaganza, 800-941 Sean, if you want to
cowboy type look to him.
Yes, we are getting to.
But then again, he hates country music.
I am going to give you.
It's something we're definitely opposites on. I like almost every genre except for classical or opera. I like classical, not opera.
This movement seriously. We'll get to all of that. A couple of things before we get started. Pretty scary in light of the assassination culture we now find ourselves living in. 3 would-be assassins for President Trump. Of course, what happened to our friend Charlie Kirk. Now we have a heavily armed suspect has been arrested at LA's Trump National Golf Club after he was seen scouting security preparations before the president was heading out to the West Coast. Armed man accused of scouting President Trump's South Carolina golf club before the commander-in-chief's visit. Decorated former U.S. Marine completed combat deployments in both Iraq and Afghanistan. Agents conducted advanced security planning, spotted this guy walking around the golf course wearing an earpiece, photographing, filming security preparations, according to federal prosecutors. He returned to the club on August the 2nd.
Yeah, I think we discussed this before, you're right.
For the State Department and for security detail there, admitted he had a loaded firearm in his pickup truck. Deputies then responding to the scene discovered that this guy was wanted in an unrelated robbery case out of El Segundo,
California.
Authorities recovered a loaded 9mm pistol, hollow point ammunition, binoculars, badge labeled security protection agent from his truck. Subsequent search of his home uncovered what investigators described as an illegally modified AR platform rifle, additional firearms, body armor, high-capacity magazines, communications equipment, and notebooks containing, very concerning statements. While we were still investigating the motives of this individual, we are thankful he was apprehended before the president's visit.
All right, later.
It's very dangerous out here. It really is. By the way, just so you know the state of the entire Democratic Party, maybe it's just a mere coincidence. Maybe the day after the Michigan Democrats handed this, by the way, what was a much closer race than people had anticipated, this crucial Senate nomination to a man that refuses to condemn the statement America deserved 9/11. Democrats in D.C. are boycotting a hearing on the Muslim Brotherhood. But Muslim Brotherhood's members include Osama bin Laden's right-hand man in Al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri. According to the Council on Foreign Relations, Hamas was an offshoot of the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Man, gas has already gone down a little bit since I got it earlier.
And it goes on and on.
What the fuck?
Members of the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee announced they will refuse to participate in a hearing focused on the Muslim Brotherhood networks within the U.S. The boycott targeting a session organized by Federal Court Subcommittee Chair Ted Cruz entitled Hidden in Plain Sight, Confronting the Muslim Brotherhood Network in America. We think they'd want safety and security for the American people first. But I do a little bit digress here. All right, let's get to last night. But before I do, I want to make sure you understand something. And there's going to be a certain portion of this program. I will try to minimize it, but I do want to make everybody aware of it. I think we're going to put this up on our website so you can just simply print it out, and that is the DSA's agenda. And we'll take the more extreme items and we'll summarize it, and this way you have it and you can make copies of it.
Yeah, it was three
and your family and your neighbors and your coworkers.
I think 70
anyone else you may run into
something, but I was on the way out.
What happened yesterday,
I get 10 cents off at Love's.
And one of the reasons it was, I did not know the extent of money.
It's nice in Fort Wayne, man. It's like
so fascinating and
50 cents cheaper than here.
This is how the Democratic Party, their silence has been deafening. As this
see what it is right now, actually.
PSA, communist takeover of their party's been unfolding. There's only been one elected Democrat that's been willing to take it on. That's John Fetterman. Now, you've had others. James Carville this weekend's not going to be a part of a party with Abdul Sayed. He said that. He may be leaving the Democratic Party. I guess if this guy's elected, but I mean, now he's the nominee, so he's part of the party that nominates.
Actually about the same now.
Then you have Bill Maher and, former politicians. Joe Manchin is an example, and so on and so forth. And, Mark Penn. I mean, there are people that are speaking out, but only one elected official, because the rest of the elected Democrats are deathly afraid of the power because they know that this is the base of the party. Now, how do we know this? Well, we did a little research for this program, and I brought this up yesterday. 250 plus members of the DSA, that's Democratic Socialists of America. I think most of them are communists, but whatever. Why play word games when it's ostensibly the same thing? It just, whatever form, name, manifestation, it still ends the same way. And that is unfulfilled promises, more poverty than when you start. It ends up also with
tyranny,
a loss of freedom that you hand over to greedy politicians that you would empower to pretty much steal money from one group of Americans, redistribute it to you, at least on paper. And then how do you ever get rid of those people in power? It never works. Never has. It never will. It is a failed system. But in case you don't know, there are 250 plus members of the DSA that are serving currently today in elected offices now in 40 states. This is not just Mamdani. This is not just El Sayed. This is not just AOC. This is not Grandpa Bernie. This is not Pocahontas only. And then you have all the other squad members, et cetera, et cetera. 90% of these DSA officials were elected following the 2019 political cycle. What does that tell you? That this is a movement that is growing very quickly in momentum. And it's gotten to the point where they have now intimidated
like the Nazi Party did.
The Democrats. What are these stated and written DSA beliefs? They want to eliminate the Senate, the presidency, the judiciary as we currently know it. I mean, goodbye, City U.S. Senate, goodbye. It's over. And we know they want amnesty for illegals. We know they want to abolish the borders. We know they want to abolish ICE. We know they want to defund because they write it. The Department of War. It's a very dangerous world, not a smart idea. They want to end all deportations, eliminate cash bail. They want their wealth tax, confiscation of wealth. They want to pass their cradle to grave, womb to the tomb, government run everything, Green New Deal, abolish prisons, police, public ownership of most corporations. That will lead to poverty. That means that they want America to become worse than New York City and worse than the state of California under the worst governor, no-show governor, Gavin Newsom. That is what their stated plan is. They're not hiding it. In the past, you'd have Democrats, things that they could never say on the campaign trail that would not help them win electorally, or things that they could never pass legislatively. This is where judicial activism came in, because this has been their real beliefs, but they at least try to hide it. Well, the hiding is over. They're not hiding anything anymore. This is now out in the open, and they are now saying it publicly. It was a much closer race. I mean, I remember I was watching, and then, I was doing some prep. I've got a podcast later, and I just was doing some reading, watching the results come in, watching it get closer, and, the big story was out of Detroit, which went more for Haley Stevens than I think people had anticipated, but not enough by any stretch. El Sayed is the nominee now for the Democrats in Michigan. But now we have Haley Stevens. I think a lot of the surprise comes from the establishment, including Gretchen Whitmer, Chuck Schumer. They were pouring money. They won't speak out publicly, but they sense the danger of this movement within their party as a clear and present danger to their power. Chuck Schumer doesn't know it. He's done. Hakeem Jeffries probably, even though he's minority leader in name only, he's done. These radicals now control the party. Haley Stevens. Now, it didn't take long for her to get over her objections of Abdul el-Sayed's toxic policy positions like, cutting off aid to Israel, calling the Jewish state evil, abolishing ICE, defunding the police, imposing a wealth tax, not to mention his refusal to condemn. He was out there. Hassan Piker was with him all day yesterday. Hassan Piker was in the room with him last night at their headquarters. Hassan Piker apparently was live streaming during this. Stevens says, I want to congratulate Abdul el-Sayed on winning the Democratic nomination. I am proud to offer my support as he takes on Mike Rogers in the general election. And anyway, so, Mike Rogers is saying you're not going to let that happen. Now, I want to say a thing about Mike Rogers, who was on this program last week, and we will have on many times. This is now a critical moment for this country. Mike Rogers, distinguished Army vet, former FBI special agent, chaired the House Intel Committee, 14 years in Congress, one of the most reliable, pro-American voices, unflinching about confronting anti-Semitism. He is a great candidate, came very close in the last election to beating Elizabeth Slockett. It was a very, very, very close race. So what does this mean, that this movement now has got legs? What does this mean that this is now spread like a cancer? It's not just Mamdani and AOC and Grandpa Bernie and Pogon. What does it mean? It means that this is now the heart and soul of what used to be a more moderate Democratic Party. That party no longer exists. And the rest of the Democrats out there, let me backtrack. When I was at Lindsey Graham's memorial at the National Cathedral, where I did speak, I had an opportunity to meet with a number of very high-ranking, names you would recognize, Democrats in the U.S. Senate. And we had private conversations. They were off the record, and I will respect my promise to keep it off the record in terms of who they are, what they said. But I am telling you, they see nothing but danger in this movement. This is not the people they want to be associated with. And as their silence is so deafening, now it's a danger. And this is my admonition to you. Yeah, okay, a lot of us wanted el-Sayed, let the lunatic win. But now the lunatic is on the ballot. Now he can be elected. And if you don't feel the urgency of this moment to stop this insane agenda right dead in its tracks now in the states like Michigan, Wisconsin with Francesca Hong, and she'll win her primary, it looks like. If you don't step up and you don't realize that 3 months from yesterday is going to be the most important midterm in your life. We have never dealt with a radicalized group of people like this, with the agenda that I just spelled out and I'm spelling out every single day. If you don't do your part, and it only takes one action by you, and that is to vote, and that is to prevent these people from growing like a cancer that will turn America, the America we love, upside down. It will be unrecognizable and will cease to exist in its current form if it continues to get out of control. If you don't stop this, it's on your head. America will get the government it deserves. I take this win very seriously. Anybody that's, good, the lunatic won. Okay, now the lunatic has to be defeated in the general election for it to mean anything. And if you don't take this responsibility in Michigan and Wisconsin seriously, if you don't take it in Colorado seriously, if you don't take it in Texas and Maine and everywhere else seriously, in Iowa seriously, in Georgia seriously, in North Carolina seriously, then I'm telling you, it's going to be Mamdani, personified all around the country. I'm warning you now. Please make a commitment in your heart, mind, and soul that you're not going to let this happen. I'm telling you, it is a clear and present danger to America as we now know it. These positions are insane. 800-941-SEAN, our number if you want to be a part of the program. I know the headlines may change. Threats that face Israel and its very survival, they remain. Much of the world, they move from one story to the next. But, after being targeted all these densely populated areas within Israel, the need for humanitarian assistance has never been greater. They need food and water and shelter and clothing and medicines. The elderly can't get out to even see a doctor. Communities now have to remain on alert. But the need for humanitarian assistance has never been this great. That's why we are proud to partner with our friends at the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. They're on.
Whatever.
Their survival, their protection, for strength, for peace, a lasting peace, and together, with your help, they can help all these people that are in desperate need. Go to their website. It's prayifcj.org. That's prayifcj.org.
Question: how many liberals does it take to make a common sense statement? Yep, you're right. Fake news, not even possible. You're locked in on the Hannity Show.
See website for details. BillsHappen.com is not a lender. It does not make credit decisions. Must be 18 years old. Not available in all states.
Honey, everything is so expensive, and our bills are piling up.
You're telling me credit cards are maxed out, rent is due, and the car payment's right around the corner? You need some extra cash.
We should do what my friend from work did. She went to BillsHappen.com and got the money she needed the next day.
Our credit is not great. Are you sure that would work for us?
BillsHappen.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with all credit types get up to $5,000.
Sounds like it's going to be a hassle.
My friend said it was super easy. She did it right from her phone during her lunch break.
If you have a regular source of income, you can be approved for a loan for up to $5,000, and your cash can hit your bank account the next day. BillsHappen.com's lenders have millions of dollars to lend, regardless of your credit history.
Guess what? I went to BillsHappen.com, and we're getting our money tomorrow.
Wow, that's fast. Problem solved.
If you need extra cash, go to BillsHappen.com. That's BillsHappen.com. BillsHappen.com.
My husband is a veteran, and he was injured in the line of duty.
It happened while I was deployed to Iraq. An IED detonated 3 feet from my face.
It was bad.
I remember thinking, who's going to take care of my wife and daughter?
We took care of each other, with a lot of help from DAV.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans like Jason get the life-changing support and benefits they've earned.
My victory is knowing my disability doesn't define me.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Do you have coins, jewelry, precious metals, or high-end collectibles that are looking to sell for top dollar? Silva Genova, CEO and owner of Tangible Investments, has become legendary by beating his competitors' offers by as much as 500%.
I had a diamond ring that's been an heirloom of my family for many years, so I went to a local jewelry store, and they offered me $600. I just wasn't comfortable. I took it down to Tangible Investments, and they offered me over $6,000. That store is absolutely awesome.
Stories like these are why Tangible Investments has become America's top dealer, why you'll see Sil featured on CNBC, the History and Discovery Channel, and quoted in the Wall Street Journal. Right now, gold, jewelry, and collectibles prices are at record highs. Shop the competition, then call him last. You'll be amazed at the difference, guaranteed. Call now for an absolutely free, no obligation appraisal. Call 800-885-1400. That's 800-885-1400. 800-885-1400. Before you sell, call Sil. Tangible Investments. Fed up with stubborn earwax? Get Wax RX from Dr. Easy. Dr. Easy professional ear washers have been used over 40 million times by medical professionals. Now you can get the same results at home with Wax RX, the personal ear wash system. Just like our professional ear washers, Wax RX flushes away stubborn earwax without a trip to the doctor. Don't be fooled by store brands and cheap knockoffs. Pull into a Walmart or Shoppers Drug Mart right now and get the original doctor-invented Wax RX in the ear care aisle.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids, no matter where you are. Call now. 800-575-4181. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-4181. That's 800-575-4181. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Summer in America means something special. Family cookouts, long weekends, small town parades, time outside with the people who matter most. It's the season that reminds you why this country is worth celebrating. And while America's 250th birthday is upon us, Black Rifle Coffee Company didn't just suddenly discover patriotism because of an anniversary. They proudly celebrated America, her military, her flag, and the communities that keep this country strong since the company was founded. That spirit is front and center this summer with their limited edition red, white, and blue commemorative coffee bags. Same great roast, just black, beyond black, and spirit of 76. But in a bag meant for celebration. These are the coffees go for early mornings before the house wakes up, afternoons at the lake, and evenings around the grill with family and friends. Because for Black Rifle Coffee, patriotism isn't a campaign, it's a way of life. Find the commemorative bags now at Walmart or your local grocery store. Black Rifle Coffee Shop. Online at blackriflecoffee.com. Veteran founded. American roasted. This is America's coffee.
Channel 125 on the Sirius XM app.
To get to today, Senator Ron Johnson will ask him about Fauci, and Francesca Hong, who is running for governor, seems to have a stronghold on the lead for the Democratic Socialists in his state. All things simple man Bill O'Reilly will get his reaction to Al Sayed, his big victory. John Solomon with an investigation, apparently more declassified information, and John has his hands on it. He'll share and tell you how you can look at the documents yourself. Coming up.
Yeah, my dad passed away at the age of 63. He was in great health. It was out of nowhere. Had a stroke. And super hard, obviously, in our family, but my dad had life insurance. So even after he passed away, he was still able to provide for my mom. And of course, by extension, my brother and I. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife, and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com. Because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. 10 minutes. You're covered. Your family is covered. You get $2 million in coverage for $2 a day. That's a 10-year term life policy for a 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male. We don't like to talk about death in our culture, but everyone's going to die. You're going to die. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Slater. Rates may vary, bill monthly, ethos.com/Slater.
Larry Elder here. When it comes to supplements, 2 things matter most. That it works and that you can trust it. Rather than just tell you about Relief Factor, we'll let our customers do it. We hear from people every single day whose lives have changed, and we'd like you to hear a few of their stories as well. Jim ran out of Relief Factor twice, and both times his aches, stiffness, and pain came back. Once he restarted it, he says he felt better again. As Jim puts it, you know something's working when you run out of it. I take Relief Factor every single morning for my back issues. I know exactly what Jim is talking about. Now, they make it easy for you to find out if you'll be the next person telling us Relief Factor helped you tackle your daily aches and pain. 3 weeks for just $17.76. Simply go to ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF. You'll connect with our friendly local team, and they will do everything they can to help. We hope you'll soon be sharing your story with us as well. 800-4RELIEF, ReliefFactor.com.
Most people think a mattress is just another piece of furniture. But when you're not sleeping well, it affects everything.
your health, your focus, even what kind of day you're going to have. That's why so many people are switching to GhostBed. GhostBed mattresses are engineered for cooling, support, recovery, and real sleep quality. Because your body should be recovering while you sleep, not fighting for comfort. So if you're waking up stiff, tossing and turning, sleeping hot, or even reaching for a pain reliever before bed, hoping tonight will be different, maybe that's not aging. Maybe it's your mattress. Hot sleepers especially love GhostBed's cooling technology because sleeping cooler means fewer wake-ups and better mornings. And with GhostBed's 101-night sleep trial, you can try it at home and feel the difference for yourself. Right now, GhostBed is offering their lowest prices of the season, plus an extra 10% off. Go to ghostbed.com/Patriot and use promo code Patriot. That's ghostbed.com/Patriot, promo code Patriot.
Lioness, the hit original series from Taylor Sheridan, is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Thank you, Jody. Sorry I missed it. You're gone. Yeah, have a good one, brother. Thanks for hanging out.
Starring Zoe Saldana.
Keep running.
Michael Kelly.
You tried to touch us here. It's a two-way street, buddy.
With Morgan Freeman. The fallout from this is limitless. And Nicole Kidman.
This isn't the end of a fight. This is the start of one.
Lioness, new season now streaming. Only on Paramount Plus. Business owners, tired of slow banks, piles of paperwork, and credit-based loan denials? At Signet, funding is based on your revenue, not your credit score. No red tape, no waiting weeks, just fast access to capital with real people who understand small business. You need to be in business at least 1 year and averaging $50,000 a month or more. Get started at signetfunding.com. No cost, no obligation. That's SIGNET funding.com. signetfunding.com. $5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PERFECT5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PERFECT5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code PERFECT5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. Offers vary by user and location. Go to Upside.com for terms and details.
Channel 125 and on the SiriusXM app.
Now that we made some money for our sponsors, let's go back to making the liberals crazy. The Handman is back on the part of the program. Let me give you a hard truth. Numbers don't lie. They might make you uncomfortable, but they don't lie. We have tracked you have to do your own due diligence. For me, ever since I've been able to save money, I've taken a percentage of my savings and put in gold and silver. That's why I am a proud customer of our partners at Goldco. Yep, I'm a customer. You know, this is where things, this is where diversification comes in. But you know what? The best thing is they like people to be informed, and they are offering you a great head start with their free gold and silver kit, show you the ropes, help educate you about the power of gold and silver. I've never regretted it. I don't regret doing it today. Also, they'll show you how you can qualify for an extra 10% bonus and free gold or silver just for getting started.
Anyway, call now our friends at Goldco, 855-815-GOLD. That's 855-815-GOLD today. All right, so this is now going to be a battle for the heart and mind and soul of the Democratic Party. El Sayed campaign backed by over $100,000 from dozens of members of a group with alleged terror ties. This is on FoxNews.com. Anyway, they say they have collected $115,000 from individuals who work for or who have held leadership roles on the Council of American Islamic Relations, the group CARE. You might recall that they were designated an unindicted co-conspirator in a case down in Texas many years ago. I have no idea if these campaign contributions were made or not made, but I'm just looking at Fox News Digital right now. But they're claiming 41 individuals who either work for CARE, formerly worked for CARE, served in leadership, etc. It doesn't matter to me. It's irrelevant. But the money will be there for El Sayed. That much I can tell you. There's a lot of money that is being poured into elections, and we have no earthly idea where it's coming from. And it's not good, and it's not healthy. Now, I'm going to get to the DSA Constitution and bylaws. And we're going to play some El Sayed in just a minute, but I want to call attention to an important race to me that is taking place. Unfortunately, this won't be taking place until tomorrow. Not sure why Tennessee has it on a Thursday. Congressman Andy Ogles, friend of the program, Tennessee's 5th District, President Trump's pick for Congress. We just want to give him some props. But anyway, the state of Tennessee, like my state of Florida, like the state of Texas, like the Carolinas, you see people moving into these states in droves because they actually know how to run states properly. Andy, so why on a Thursday? Usually these primaries are on a Tuesday.
Yeah, we do it different here in Tennessee, but we have a rather long early voting period. There's a 4-day race, pushes it to Thursday. But look, it is what it is. That's what the General Assembly has set the date, so we just roll with it.
All right, so you're not running against, I assume, in Tennessee, one of these DSA candidates, are you? And if you get to the general again?
Well, actually, I've got both a competitive primary and a competitive general. And, like you alluded to, we've got this lefty green group out of California that's spending $2 million against me because I'm Trump endorsed, I'm close to the White House, I carry most of Trump's legislation, and in their own words, they say that they're going to try to make an example out of me so that
how can people help you? And this, you are one of the few Republicans that have a very strong spine and a backbone. Can't say it about all of them. But I know the president counts on you, relies on you for a lot of support. So I'm just trying to make the people, my friends in Tennessee, aware that this primary is on a Thursday, which is kind of unusual. And if you haven't voted early, now would be the time to go out and vote tomorrow for Andy Ogles. But how can they get in touch with you and your campaign?
Okay, and obviously the vote is tomorrow, but you can go to inDOCtriNATIONlive.com. And look, if you're a Republican and you have a Kamala Harris super PAC pouring $2 million against you, there's a reason for that. It's because you're a fighter, that you're a leader, that you're close to the President of the United States. And I'm enemy number one for these green energy folks, for the liberals out in California. And, that's why they're coming hard at us. But look, if people don't vote, if they don't get out to the ballot box, we literally could have, there's no repercussions, because if they succeed in taking me out, this California liberal group spending $2 million against me, this will encourage them to do it against other Republicans and other primaries. I mean, they say they're going to target Barry Moore, they're going to target Ralph Norman, they're going to target Byron Donalds in Florida. So I'm not the only one on the list. I just happen to be first.
All right, well, we're going to watch it. Andy Ogles, this is an important race. If you're a friend listening in Tennessee right now, and you're in Tennessee's 5th District, it is President Trump's pick for Congress. He is being targeted by this, radical clean energy super PAC they're pouring millions of dollars in the hopes of getting you out of office. I take all elections seriously. I know people are celebrating El Sayed's win yesterday. Oh, that's great. It makes it easier for Mike Rogers. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It makes it more urgent for the people of Michigan and the country to get involved in this midterm election year. You know, I know that midterm elections don't usually generate the kind of turnout that we get in presidential election years. This year has to be different. And that's what I'm telling people. All right, Andy Ogles, appreciate you, man. We'll be watching tomorrow night and reporting on it as results come in.
Absolutely, Sean. Thank you so much, my friend.
800-941-SEAN is our number if you want to be a part of the program. You know, the DSA has a constitution. They have bylaws. They actually have Article 1. The name of the organization shall be the Democratic Socialists of America, a non-for-profit corporation. Article 2, their purpose. We are socialists because we reject an economic order based on private profit, alienated labor, gross inequalities of wealth and power, discrimination based on race, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability status, age, religion, national origin, and brutality and violence in defense of the status quo. These are the same crazy leftist, I don't know if they're similar to the people that 574 rights, are they related? Because they seem to be crazy leftists to me. But anyway, we are socialists because we share a vision of a humane social order based on popular control of resources and production, economic planning, equitable distribution, feminism, racial equality, non-oppressive.
The two scientists disappeared into China. Here we go. Juno News. July 29, 2026, FBI seized Chinese military COVID shipment months before Winnipeg lab stand. The same Wuhan linked. Weapons of mass destruction directorate because it may pose a risk to nations. Just weeks before, earlier, October 12, 2018, security guards at Canada's National Microbiology Laboratory stopped a Wuhan Institute of Virology technician attempting to leave Winnipeg's Level 4 facility carrying 10 uncertified files from the laboratory of Dr. Xiaoguo Qi. Canadian intelligence would later conclude Qi secretly transferred scientific knowledge and materials to Chinese state and military institutions while using Canada's high security lab to strengthen Beijing's capacity to work with the dangerous pathogens. Oh, but CBC News told me it was fake. It's unreal to be able to live through the world at this time. I should probably go archive both of those links so that we have them. In fact, I'm going to do that as we speak because I don't want to lose them. I'm going to go archive the Juno article. That's not the one we probably need to worry about. And we're going to go archive the propaganda